fan on here of, let me see how quick this is moving, because these storms have been moving insanely quick. 55 miles per hour here. We'll put a little bit of a fan on this, try and give people on the leading edge. Obviously, we're dealing with a little bit of a line of storms. And if I'll take this past just outside of the warning box there into portions of northwestern Benton County, and then right along Interstate 380 there as it goes into Blackhawk County. So Buckingham in the next couple of minutes here. It's 5:45 now, 5:48 there. Eagle Center around 5:54 is potentially where we could have that area of circulation along the leading edge of these storms as we are moving forward here. There is another tornado warning that has been issued a little bit further north of this now. We'll work our way up there. This will be covering portions of Bremer as well as Butler, and then portions of Grundy County as well. That goes until 6:30. As we can see there, places like Waverly is included in that, Allison, even Parkersburg. It looks like that will be moving out of your area here very, very
So this storm moving at 75 miles per hour to the north and east. There has also been a report of 70 mile per hour winds with this storm reported in Allison. So the concern here that the Weather Service is saying is that they're just seeing this the surge and the surge in the winds. And then we also have this potential for the rotation. So let's pop the velocity on. If we can also get max 1 at the wall, that would be fantastic. We do have right now range folding. This is just a portion of the area that is kind of right on the edge of the radar. So we're getting a little bit of funkiness here. So this purple is where there's a little bit of interference with the radar. We do have a little bit of rotation, and right by that area by Allison, that is where, that makes sense, where the 70 mile per hour winds would have occurred there. And this is going to continue to the north toward the Plainfield area. We do have the potential for the spin-ups to occur. We've had multiple confirmed tornadoes that we already have shown you, have been aware of, and are continuing to watch. Let's go down with to the Tama storm with velocity as well. And Cayson, we were literally looking at this storm, and then they issued the tornado warning, and we were seeing some rotation. It appears to be fairly broad at this time, and we're not necessarily seeing the really bright greens and the really bright reds right next to each other, which would indicate tight rotation. But this is indicating some rotation and still some strong winds. And outside of this, we also do have some very strong winds moving through Tama County, and we've had some indications. You can kind of see this portion here with the reds and with the greens that there could be some of those winds picking up toward that 60 to 70 mile per hour mark as well. So that is of concern, of some very powerful winds, and some rotation may be possible in the mix here, but we haven't had any reports. At least they're saying that there's now winds of 60 plus miles per hour from Grundy Center into Waterloo, and tagging that for 70 mile per hour winds. So this is a higher end severe thunderstorm and should be treated just like a tornado warning, as we had earlier today. 70 mile per hour winds moved through Waterloo, reported at the airport, and then we ended up having power outages in the city, and we have had multiple reports of power outages over the course of this evening already. So there's kind of this bowing and the curvature to the storm here heading toward Traer. So that'd definitely be more of an indication for wind to me than tornado. We also, if we just completely zoom out, we have a mess of storms here. We have been watching this come out of central Iowa, Nebraska, and multiple tornadoes forming in this line. Unfortunately, what we are seeing are these breaks and these individual storms that have started to form, and these would have the potential to be tornadic. So there's this one storm that has been just coming up from the south, and it is tornado warned. This is just outside of our area that we cover, but we do have a tornado warning that is right up against Keokuk County, and this would be heading toward perhaps the northern portion of Keokuk into Iowa County if it does hold together. So we have these tornado warnings. We have multiple severe thunderstorm warnings, and this is all heading generally to the north and east and have the potential of 60 to 70 mile per hour winds, along with the potential for the tornadoes to happen as well with these.
Yeah, and it's just really the whole line here is what you're going to be dealing with. Obviously, within maybe some of those Boeing segments now, or this line of storms, we are continuing to see some of the increases in the winds now, with those severe thunderstorm warnings being warned for right around 70 miles per hour in some cases. We'll just give you a look on that tornado warning. This is a little bit more of an isolated cell, at least at this point, down there in kind of Wapello, Mahaska counties. Eventually, it'll be moving its way into Keokuk and Iowa counties there. Obviously, you're looking for those red and greens to try and come together. Just south of Oskaloosa there, or south and west, potentially we could see an area of rotation, fairly broad, at least at this time. Not too many indications that there is currently a tornado that is on the ground, but that's sort of the case that we'll be watching. And this is a storm that is kind of by itself right now. It's not really a part of that line, but you can see as we work our way a little bit forward here, obviously there are just tons of severe thunderstorm warnings associated with this as well, moving into Tama County there, as well as starting to 80 miles per hour for parts of Benton, as well as Buchanan County in there. So Benton associated in that, Independence, folks driving there along Highway 20. And then Interstate 380 there through Buchanan County into Benton from Waterloo to Cedar Rapids. So that is that new severe thunderstorm warning there.
So, Cayson, you know what I would like to do? Let's go north to south. And let's start up here all the way at the northern part of our area, and we'll go storm by storm, because this was issued right toward the end of our 5 o'clock newscast, and we have had 70 mile per hour winds on this. So heading toward Cresco through New Hampton, I would imagine some of the stronger winds probably around that Cresco area, heading into portions of Winneshiek County would be kind of up next for this if they hold the 70 mile per hour. I have a feeling they may not, but we'll see. Haven't seen a lot of reports out of there just yet, but could come with some hail as well. Then we do have storms moving through New Hampton along Highway 63, and then there's some thunderstorm activity out ahead of that moving through West Union, Decorah, heavy rainfall in this area. We have the tornado warning. No confirmation of a tornado at this time. We have more severe thunderstorm warnings coming in. I just said Winneshiek County, and there they went and put that out for Winneshiek County. So a warning continues there. I don't know if they ended up sticking with the 70 mile per hour winds or not. Looks like they did. So we do have 70 mile per hour winds heading toward the Decorah area. Then we have this storm and the tornado warned storm for portions of Butler and Bremer and Grundy for the potential of a tornado, but also the possibility of 70 mile per hour winds exists moving out of Allison and heading to the north, likely somewhere between Frederica and New Hampton is where some of those stronger winds could be, and could see some stronger gusts around the Waverly area as well, heading along Highway 63, US 63 rather, and going to continue to the east. And these are areas that have seen some incredibly heavy rain already this morning and some strong thunderstorms that I was talking about earlier this morning. Then if we head further down to the south, we have pretty much every part of this line is warned in some type of way, whether it is the tornado warning or the severe warning. We have this warning, and I mean, there's like 3 of them here. Regardless, the stronger winds are starting to move into the Waterloo area with some heavy rain east of Grundy Center, and going to continue down to the south with the stronger winds and the possibility of a tornado there as well toward then the Traer area and east of Garwin. And this will be moving toward I-380 very quickly. And so if you are at work or you have plans to be out and about, we know tons of activities have been getting canceled for tonight. So do be aware that it is going to be difficult out on the roads because the rain is heavy. It's going to be blinding at times. And we also are going to have the possibility of these spin-ups to occur rather quickly. And we also have 70 mile per hour winds that have been confirmed and reported. This storm came out of Marshalltown with reports of 70 mile per hour winds. And we are continuing to see the tornado potential with this too. I wonder if we put the velocity on this one, there's a little bit of inflow and perhaps some rotation there. Let's see. not just some more severe thunderstorm warnings so far. There's maybe some rotation. I don't know where exactly they are looking. There's some broader rotation here. Not necessarily anything that is screaming tornado, but definitely could still be some strong winds that are occurring with this storm heading to the north of Dysart and toward LaPorte City, Highway 21. All right, let's go back to the reflectivity and let's go, zoom it out a little bit and let's go down to the south. We do have Benton counties included in this warning as this all is moving very quickly. This is a 70-mile-per-hour wind event, as we've been discussing, coming out of Tama County and heading into portions of Black Hawk and into Benton and Buchanan counties. So toward the Independence area, Benton, Brandon. It seems like Benton may be right on the edge of some of that stronger wind, but definitely toward the Brandon area into Independence is where that line could be arriving with the 70-mile-per-hour winds. And then further down to the south, we do have these storms that are coming out of they've been coming out of Missouri. They've been coming up to the north, and we have a tornado warning on one of them in Oskaloosa. And then in Montezuma, I'm guessing that is maybe a 70-mile-per-hour wind, a strong storm. We can see 60 do damage as well, but there's this just kind of curve to the storm there as it heads to the north and east. We'll have to watch that heading into portions of Iowa and Benton counties there. So that's something we'll be watching. We do have Garrett Heyd in the Road Warrior. I know that he said that he is heading back toward I-80 and going to be keeping an eye on some of the thunderstorms there. We have another warning. There's been bunches of them popping in. So this one is for 60-mile-per-hour winds and then 1.5 inches in diameter hail. Is that ping pong sized hail? Is that what that would be?
Yeah,
but
that's what it would be. Yeah,
yes.
The National Weather Service is also, with this particular storm now, just saying that they have had a report of about nickel-sized hail or about 1 inch in diameter on the north side of Anamosa. They've issued it up for hail up to about 1.5 inches there. So you can see that's moving pretty quickly to the north and east once again with those storms. Let's see how quick that's moving there. 60 miles per hour.
60 miles per hour. So, yes, ping pong size hail, 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts, and you can see the hail core here east of Anamosa and in between Anamosa and Wyoming, pretty much. Some heavy rain ongoing. These have been very efficient rain producers so far today. And this, when we're talking 60-mile-per-hour winds, ping pong size hail, it is not going to be pretty to be outside, and that is heading toward Highway 151 and up to the north and east rather quickly. So toward the Monticello area and then back into Dubuque, where we had a warning earlier today. We do have these storms that are going on across the area. Can you just give me that wide view, Cayson, of the DMA, so we can kind of give that view? We have another storm actually coming into Washington County that has a warning on it as well. And if we zoom out even further, perhaps we can see there's some additional tornado warning storms to the south. So just that perspective, multiple warnings. We knew we were looking at lines of storms coming in. We've had like 3 of them so far today. If we will go back to about 3 o'clock this morning, and these storms have a history of producing tornadoes. They have a history of it. We do have the also history of 70-mile-per-hour winds. There was another warning that got put out for Tama. That's about 60-mile-per-hour winds there, but kind of embedded in this line. The bottom line is there could be spin-ups, 60 to 70-mile-per-hour winds, quarter to ping pong size hail going on, and you want to be inside and sheltered away from the windows, not trying to look at anything, not going to be anything to look at except for a sheet of rain, and you don't want to be close to the windows. Now, I do want to show you what has happened today, unfortunately, and we have video of the damage that has occurred. This is live from KCCI of Corning, Iowa, and we have seen some considerable damage out of Corning, out of Greenfield earlier today, and we have unfortunately seen some large and long track tornadoes. And as this has moved to the east, we have not seen those same signatures on radar of what we were seeing earlier today. So we're thankful for that, but definitely thinking about people out to our west, once again, western Iowa, dealing with the brunt of the severe weather situation. However, the reality is that we still have the tornado threat. We could still see these storms intensify. 60 to 70-mile-per-hour winds can also do damage and can also start to knock out the power, which we've been seeing happening across the state. Anything from the Weather Service, Cayson?
Well, obviously, we're kind of watching a bunch of different warnings. There have been some damage reports that are coming in here, and I know I'm not looking at the camera right now, but I'm trying to jumble each and every one of these. Some reports of some damage in places just to the western side of Black Hawk County, I should say. There's also been the report of a 65-mile-per-hour wind gust near I should say, portions of that would be, let me see here, sorry. That would be portions of Grundy County there. So where that tornado warning is at, and those warnings are for 70 miles per hour, a report there of 70 or 65 mile per hour winds as well. There's just been a lot of reports of those kind of smaller branches and stuff breaking off, obviously with those widespread winds, at least for right now. Some heavy rain ongoing. There's some frequent lightning here, especially in these areas that are pretty soaked after the morning storms moved through there, so you're kind of no stranger to what we've seen today. But we'll obviously have to continue to kind of watch what's going on to our south here in some of our southern hometowns. You're maybe seeing some dry weather there, but some rain starting to move into places like Keokuk, Washington, and even into Iowa and Johnson County. It's pretty quiet for at least right now, but these are a little bit more isolated and discrete supercells that are drastically working their way to the north and east. So we'll have to watch those rather closely, and whether or not we'll continue to see maybe that tornado threat there. Let me just pop in here and put on the velocity mode once again. That storm right near Oskaloosa right now. You can see, obviously, we're not seeing that red and green come together with the latest radar scan, but there is still at least some broad rotation that we'll have to be watching as this moves its way into Keokuk in Iowa County there. And
let's go just north of here to the cell that is in Poweshiek County and look at this storm near Grinnell. And so this is near where meteorologist Garrett Heyd is right now. And you can see that there's clearly some hail ongoing there, and there's a little bit of that notch that's happening here, this inflow notch, and this is kind of some of the indication of rotation starting to begin with this storm. And if you pop on the velocity too, Cayson, we can see there's certainly some rotation that is ongoing in that same zone, so we can kind of see some of the rotation that is starting to occur close to I-80 and some heavy rain there. So we do have Garrett. I don't know if he said he was back in IFB. Garrett, if you want to show us what's happening out in that area, tell everybody where you are and what you're seeing. We can kind of get people some advance notice, because these storms are moving very quickly, and this is just Poweshiek County outside of the our at least coverage area, but right where we would enter portions of Iowa County. This storm likely would take a direction toward portions of Iowa and potentially Benton County as well. So if Garrett wants to kind of tell us what he's seeing out there, that would be great.
Yeah, absolutely. So for the most part, again, we've been trying to kind of move around just a little bit, getting an idea of where things are going. Especially kind of as you were mentioning that Poweshiek County cell that's just starting to kind of show some more indications of it starting to rotate in the, we'll call it the proper direction, at least for that more tornadic activity, which is something you obviously don't want to be seeing a whole lot of. Of course, we're going to be working our way back towards Interstate 80 here to get a better look at it as we continue our way back towards the west just a little bit. But, of course, we'll continue to bring you any of those updates if we do manage to see anything in particular with that. As we do get a little bit closer.
Thank you, Garrett. And yeah, I mean, we are going to continue to keep an eye on that storm, certainly, as we do have still the ingredients in place that can lead to the spin in the atmosphere. But we are not necessarily seeing the confirmation of tornadoes. They're starting to let go of actually some of the tornado warnings, which great. Yeah. However, the thing is that we are still seeing 70 mile per hour winds with these storms, and 60 to 70 mile per hour winds continuing to could potentially lead to damage as well. I know there's a new warning. There's obviously a new warning here. So this will be this new warning there for portions of Cedar up into Clinton, as well as Jackson and Jones County there. Obviously, some of those strongest winds now moving their way right across Interstate 80 there, kind of just to the east of West Branch, south of Rochester there. Probably a little bit of hail. Obviously, this is warned for 1.25 inches hail there. The warning will go until 6:45. So you're talking 60 mile per hour winds. Some of those larger size hail there that'll get you over Nichols a little bit
into kind of that ping pong ball size. But this is a pretty long warning. It extends pretty far north, and that's just because of the speed in which these storms are moving right now.
60 miles per hour.
60 miles per hour. So we've seen those 60 to 70 mile per hour. So storms that are warned for that, as well as even tornado warnings. So those are moving rather quickly across the area here. Eastern counties, we got that other warning just to the north there, pushing its way into Jones as well as Dubuque County right now, kind of near Wyoming, moving near Monticello, Cascade, into Dyersville, and along Highway 20 into Dubuque there. So that is also warned for 60 miles per hour. And 1.25 inches of hail there. This is just kind of one big old mess of storms that have a ton of different warnings on it, and no matter where you are, you're likely going to see at least some winds out of this.
And if you can zoom in on that tornado warning right now, where that's the only one in the area currently. Let's go to the velocity, because I'm seeing kind of two locations where there could be a little bit of indication of rotation. It's pretty broad once again, but we do have right now this kind of area just outside of the warning, and this could be indicating some strong winds as well. We've been seeing 70 miles per hour, and then perhaps just maybe around LaPorte City. We do have a camera from the DOT in that area here, and you can see some of the clouds starting to roll in, and certainly this is an area that has been very saturated and has quite a bit of rainfall that has occurred recently, and we do have some lightning ongoing and going to continue to see the winds start to pick up in that area. So that's Highway 20 at Hammond. Good news is not a lot of people on the road. Hopefully you can just hang it inside, because we do have quite a bit of activity here, regardless of if it's a tornado or not. Strong winds, a lot of heavy rain, a lot of lightning, rain, and hail that can really cause some issues out on the streets. I will say the Weather Service said they're just, continuing to mention these storms moving very quickly with a lot of 60 mile per hour winds and some large hail with some of these storms across the area, and then just watching for the potential of any of these spin ups to happen. So no confirmation of any tornadic activity. We have had this line of storms though moving through, and we do have Mitch Fick in the studio with us. And Mitch, you've been monitoring the power outages that have been happening across the state as this line has been moving rather quickly across the state so far today.
Yeah, just a good measure of what this thing has left behind, these systems have. And Mike, in the booth, if you want to bring up our old friend, poweroutage.us, we got very familiar with this website during the days of the derecho. Just gives us the whole lay of the land, and we can P-scan do that. Thank you very much there. Let's start in that lower, the southwest corner there. You're right there with Adair County in the red. Again, a smaller county there in southwest Iowa. We talked about Greenfield just getting decimated by everything earlier today. You see more than half the county out of power right now. And if you've seen pictures online of Greenfield, you know why. I mean, things were just flattened out there. Adams County, right to the south of there, is where we saw some of those wind turbines just chewed up by some of these systems. Cass County just to the west of Adair as well, about a third of the county there. But then you start getting into central Iowa, of course, Polk, the most populated in the entire state. You've got about 10% of that county there, smack dab in the middle, 26,000 folks without power there. So a significant chunk of the over 51,000 people without power there in Polk County. But you start crawling up as well to north central Iowa there, and you've got these smaller counties that have a few thousand people there, but you've got in Butler County, 6,400 people there total, or at least energy customers there, power customers. You got 1,700 out there. Floyd County got almost 1,600 out of 7,900 without power. Mitchell County, 600 out of just under 3,000. So you're seeing not insignificant chunks of populations without power as these systems move through. And again, so far, nothing going in the eastern part of the state. But again, these systems are just coming in. You got Tama County already with about 140 people in the dark. So just something to keep in mind. We are seeing the impacts of these systems really starkly there in the central part of the state, as you've seen on radar. This system and these systems stretching across the entire landscape of the state of Iowa. But again, really the measure of those percentages of the county that are out. Again, you look at Adair with more than half of that county in the dark tonight. And again, we'll work to get you pictures as we showed you at 5 o'clock as well from one of our former interns, Zane Satry, who's now at KCCR, CBS affiliate in Des Moines. He is in Greenfield right now getting some pictures that just look like devastation, and there it is right there. I mean, again, a community that's the county seat of Adair, a population of about 2,000 people, and it is just, from the drone shots we've seen and those ground shots, certainly just flattened and devastated. And as we've watched this, Rebecca and Cayson, over this afternoon, really starting at 3 o'clock when we started seeing those wind turbine videos on those live streams. I mean, these are images, and you guys consume a lot of weather content. You see a lot of stuff. These were stark and scary images, and just shows that when these systems get going the right way, they can be absolutely obliterating in some respects.
And this is, if I know we have one thing we can discuss here in a second with the tornado warning and some reports coming in, but we also have had a PDS tornado watch put out, particularly dangerous situation watch, and that is not something that is done lightly. That is not something that is done often, and that is indicating, the potential. There we go. The potential for these stronger storms and the ingredients that have been in the atmosphere. At one point, this covered all the way out to the west. There was a tornado watch across the entire state, and now that has been tailored back as these storms have quickly moved through. But when this particularly dangerous situation comes up, it is for long track, particularly violent tornadoes, and we saw that happen, unfortunately. And sometimes these strong tornadoes can happen in a field, and that is just fine. But sometimes they form in the wrong place, and especially when they become the long track situation, the stuff we were seeing, obviously now reflected in the images, but things we were seeing on radar are not things that you want to see. And we were seeing debris, and now the evidence of it in these photos and videos that we are seeing as well, coming out of portions of central and western Iowa. And we do still have this watch in effect, and something that the Storm Prediction Center is watching is the potential still for some of these spin ups. I know that we did just get from the emergency manager in Black Hawk County a report of a possible wall cloud around the little Port City area. So that's kind of where we were watching some of the rotation happening there. We do have still these multiple warnings and these areas where the winds are certainly picking up. I mean, maybe some broad rotation, and I think we've been seeing a little bit more of the lower cloud decks in this area as well. So that's possible. So something that we'll see. If you come on down to the south toward Belle Plaine and just a little further to the south here toward Belle Plaine and the Tama and Benton County area. I don't know if they just put something new out, but the winds on this, there we go. I mean, this is very strong. There we go, 70-mile-per-hour winds on that warning there. That also does extend to the north and east. There's a kind of mess with the polygons because we have different weather service offices servicing some counties right on the edge here. So that's why there's looks like a million of them. But regardless, you just need to know we're talking 60 to 70 mile per hour winds plus quarter to ping pong size hail, and the possibility that we could see a tornado spin up. Dangerous storms moving through the area right now, and this is heading toward the Belle Plaine area. At least that's what I'm seeing on radar side here, and possibly some rotation a little bit further, down to the south and west, where we're seeing some of those spikes in, if you just put the velocity on and see if just down here, I mean, we're seeing certainly an uptick in the wind, maybe some spin also happening in this area. So that's something we'll be watching as that scoots closer to Highway 30 and into our core area here, our coverage area as well. So we don't have any confirmation of tornadoes, thankfully. We do, unfortunately, have many confirmations of 70-mile-per-hour winds, and we do still have the potential that we could see things spin up as we head through the rest of this evening. The good news, and some of the bad news maybe, is that the storms are moving incredibly fast, and that will help get them out of here rather quickly, but it's still going to be some time, and the intense movement to those storms could also kind of be part of our issue with some of the strong winds here as well. Are you seeing something up this way, Cayson?
I'm just seeing there are some power lines down. The emergency manager there in Tama County, power lines down near Highway 8. So obviously that was in that area that we expected those winds
Near
to be
Traer.
right around 70, near
Yes.
Traer. So Highway 8 there as it moves on through. No specifics, but obviously that's just showing you the power of the winds that we've likely seen there across the area. Almost all the warnings now are warned for considerable levels there with those warnings for 70-mile-per-hour winds.
And we have been seeing the reports out of Waterloo once again of around 68 to 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts. I just saw another one come in. So that is very strong, and that's what I saw this morning. 3 o'clock in the morning, we had actually a 70-mile-per-hour wind gust that then led to power outages in Cedar Falls this morning. 1,300 people were without power, and so now we have that issue as well in Tama County. Looks like they have let go of the tornado warnings. We do have Fayette County now under a warning, and this is until 7 p.m. for it would be right there in Olwine. So 70-mile-per-hour winds. That's a storm coming out of Blackhawk County. We've had evidence and reports of 68 to 70-mile-per-hour winds. So some very strong winds that have been occurring there. Not surprised they're going with that 70-mile-per-hour tag. This is the kind of wind that can knock out power, that can take down sometimes trees, that can also take down some larger branches, and this can lead to sometimes home damage as well, or property damage at least. And this is why it is important to make sure that you are just staying indoors, staying away from the windows, treating these as tornado warnings. Even if they're not, they are producing some very, very strong winds right now. We do have these warnings continuing across the area, and I know it'd probably be hard. Maybe we can kind of do it in segments of trying to put a fan on some of them, just doing like at 60 miles per hour, and we'll kind of time out some of these. But we do have multiple locations that could be dealing with 60 to 70 mile per hour winds over the course of the next basically 30 minutes to the next 2 hours as this makes its way across. So there we go. We got Littleton shortly, Independence within the next 10 minutes, Van Horn around 6:30, as well as Benton, Newhall 6:35, Center Point around 6:40, Manchester around 6:45, and Hiawatha close to 6:50. And these are kind of, I mean, we have some of them evolving to the north and east, but largely going to see these storms continue on this track toward Vinton, towards Independence, toward Manchester, toward Olwine, and then we have the storms moving through Decorah and West Union, heading toward Waukon with 70 mile per hour tags on them. We have not had any reports of necessarily anything indicating a tornado, thankfully still, so no tornado warnings currently in effect. But we do have these very, very strong winds that can still do quite a bit of damage. So let's see. We also have the issue of flooding. There's Blackhawk in Blackhawk County, Dunkerton, report of creek overflowing and cropland, yard, basement flooding there. There's obviously all the reports coming out of western and central Iowa of the tornadoes and the tornado damage. We've had the reports of some hail in some spots and a new severe thunderstorm warning.
It's on
that storm that's coming out of Poweshiek County, that one of them at least, that was tornado warned earlier, and that has a tag on it for 70 mile per hour winds and ping pong size hail. So we do have some large hail possible with this storm as well. I don't know if they put a tornado possible tag on this one, but they may have.
I'm not.
It looks like no. Oh, yes, they do, actually. I'm sorry. I apologize. Yes, they do. They do have tornado possible because this was earlier warned for a tornado. And I can see definitely the hail let's put the velocity on it and see what's coming out of this one. This would be heading toward areas just northwest of North English. So this is the one we've been talking about, and toward Williamsburg into portions of Iowa and Benton County. So down in this area, it's like kind of right in between those radar sites. So you can certainly see some broad rotation that may be supportive more of the hail threat rather than the tornado threat. And the difference is that we'd be seeing rotation in the mid-levels of the atmosphere, and we'd see these brighter greens and brighter reds meeting each other that would indicate more of that surface rotation that is very tight, indicating a rotation that would be capable of producing a tornado. But there's certainly some rotation there, and so not to be discounted. I understand why they put the tornado possible tag on it, but 70-mile-per-hour winds, and we are going to have heavy rain as well as that hail threat as well. I know meteorologist Garrett Heyd, I think, was going to be heading, I don't know if you're heading toward that storm, as looks like in Poweshiek County. Garrett, you want to tell us what you're seeing, and what you're seeing on radar as well as you're tracking those storms?
For the most part right now, yeah, we've been trying to work our way back towards that kind of that Poweshiek and Poweshiek County, so Brooklyn and Montezuma cells. Right now we're still continuing to work our way back towards the east a little bit, so that way we can make sure we're not facing straight into the winds as they do continue to work their way into the area. But yeah, again, for the most part, a lot of what we've been kind of watching around this area, I know you guys have pointed it out as well, with a kind of on and off, a little bit of weak rotation with that northern Poweshiek County cell. And it does kind of look like it's been backing off just a bit, with that line of wind starting to work its way out ahead of that. So that is, of course, something we'll continue to monitor for. But fortunately, at least where we have been at, things are relatively, at least a little rainier, of course, but kind of quiet in the meantime.
Yeah, and I mean, thankfully, we have not seen, the intense pickup of the rotation occur here. We do have that storm that still could produce some 70-mile-per-hour winds, and we have had the reports of 70-mile-per-hour winds that have happened in the area and then have seen what has occurred from it. And we have anchor Mitch Fick with us, and Mitch was looking at these power outages, and we had reports of power lines, power poles down in Tama County after that storm moved through. And now what are you hearing out of Tama County with this storm that moved through, Mitch? Yeah,
poweroutage.us, again, leaning on this site. Just in the last 3 minutes, they updated. You see there, if you want to hit refresh there, Mike, in the booth, get things updated. Yeah, the numbers are updated right there. More than half of Tama County right now is without power. We're up to 63,000 people across the state. Yeah, there's our update there. You've got more than 40% of Butler County without power right now, but that number just from about 6:04 until the 6:18 update, so in a 14-minute span, we went from about 140 people, 140 electric customers in Tama County without power to now more than 3,700. You're pushing 52% of the population that is tracked their energies. These are a lot of line energy kind of customers. Out of the 3,700 that Tama's tracking, 3,100 of those are Alliant customers, and you're seeing that trickle into Black Hawk County as well. About 3,400 people in Black Hawk County without power. A lot of that's a pretty even split between Cedar Falls Utilities and Mid-American Energy. 3,400 people there. So again, a bigger county of about 65.5. But still a significant portion, about 1 out of every 20 energy customers in Black Hawk without power. But again, Tama and even Poweshiek, where Garrett was just in there with the road war, you got 1,500 people there without power as well. It's about 1 in every 6 people there. So again, just another reminder of what this system is bringing. Even if these aren't tornado-warned storms yet, severe thunderstorms, you talk about the 70-mile-per-hour winds. These things do damage. They leave. It's pretty stark there, and it's stark on the radar of just the damage and impact it leaves. It doesn't have to be a tornado to do a lot of damage. We know that all too well around here. So, again, just another measure of what these systems are doing as they move across the state.
Yeah, and I mean, this was something that I've been talking about today because I have seen these multiple events where we've had power outages, unfortunately. And I do want to point out that we still have this storm going to the eastern side of Tama County, and it's possible that we're still seeing some pretty strong winds here of around 70 miles per hour. And there's also the potential that there's hail along with this. Wind-driven hail is not fun to deal with either. This would be heading into areas near and north of Belle Plaine, Keystone, and then eventually toward the Vinton area in portions of Benton County. So I just want to prepare you that if you're still out ahead of these storms, you haven't had the thunderstorms of this evening. I'm not talking about earlier today. I'm talking this evening, that your power may go out, and you may need to be prepared for that as we head through the night here. And it is going to be quite the effort, as you can see all of those areas off to our west too. And we have some heavy rainfall going along with this, and did notice some rotation showing up around that Belle Plaine area. I don't know if they're if the Weather Service is considering anything there with any of that rotation. I don't know if you're seeing anything that they are giving them indication. They're just saying still seeing 70-mile-per-hour winds with a lot of that. But there's a flash flood warning just got posted. But let's go back to the velocity near that Belle Plaine area. I'm just a little curious. More warnings. This does include Lynn County now. If the 70-mile-per-hour winds. So, okay, two things. One, Belle Plaine, some rotation occurring. Not necessarily a tight coupling, perhaps on the north side here as well. Strong winds. Let's go down to the east to the Lynn County area. So this is the same storm we're watching. We've had evidence of those 70-mile-per-hour winds heading toward Benton. This is north of Cedar Rapids, but if you're hearing sirens go off, it's because of 70-mile-per-hour winds. The sirens will go off for 70-mile-per-hour winds. That is the case not everywhere in the state, but is the case in multiple counties. That this is part of the drill, that those winds can do damage, as we know, and can cause problems. Go a little bit kind of northeast, a little more northerly with them, but that's fine. We do have the Independence, Walmart Independence area basically bearing down on it now with some stronger winds, starting to get right on the leading edge of some of the rain, and going to continue to see those winds push to the east. I think it's kind of more of this going up to the north and east here, but heading toward the Benton area and eventually toward portions of northwest Lynn County. Let's kind of just zoom in on some of the cities so we can point those out, Cayson, and we can talk about, Benton coming up next here, LaPorte City getting into it, Independence, Walker, Center Point, and near the north central city area. And then we have these storms coming in from the south. So I would suspect we're going to see some more warnings that extended toward the Cedar Rapids area, but we have these storms just kind of right on the edge, the warnings at least toward Newhall and Walford. And if we go down to the south and west so we can see what these storms, so right here. So we have this storm down just to the west of Williamsburg, which is one we were still watching for some rotation, but 70-mile-per-hour winds heading toward the Williamsburg-Marengo area. This would be the storm that would head close to the Cedar Rapids area here within the next basically 30 minutes. 45 minutes as these are moving rather quickly. And then there's some rain that's developed down toward Iowa City. I'd be remiss if we did not go over to the east and talk about these storms that are also going on. 60-mile-per-hour winds, some hail that are going through out of Cedar and Jones counties. And then we have the storm moving closer to Dubuque, and Dubuque just had storms earlier this afternoon, and 60-mile-per-hour winds with some hail there. Anything new that you have been seeing? Nothing,
anything really about obviously any more on the rotation or the potential for some or potential there for tornadoes. Obviously, we're just looking at a bunch of wind and damage reports just kind of coming in from some sort of trees. We've had some power lines there over in Tama County along that line of storms. Obviously, this is slowly, or I should say quickly, it's moving pretty quickly, working its way to the east there. The National Weather Service was also mentioning maybe a little bit of a segment kind of starting to bow a little bit more as it moves its way out of Blackhawk County there, so near Independence and Manchester, maybe riding a long Highway 20 there, points to the north like Owine, eventually going to make it into Strawberry Point there, and then into Delaware as well as Clayton counties eventually here. So this whole line of storms, obviously, if it can maybe get a little bit more of a bowing segment on it, would have a nice rush of winds out ahead of it, and that's potentially where we could see those damaging winds. So always a good idea.
Not so nice winds.
Not so nice winds, and obviously obviously kind of treat this sort of as a tornado warning. We want you inside, obviously. Kind of stay away from those west windows. Those could easily blow out, or there could be some flying debris even with those strong winds. It can pick something up, launch that at a window or something like that. But obviously, you're still talking about those winds. No tornado warnings, but a lot of heavy rain ongoing and a lot of lightning with these storms. So travel pretty much on Interstate 80 there if you're to the east of Tama, or say Highway 30, east of Tama to the Cedar Rapids area there, and obviously that cell that has now pushed its way into Iowa County there near the Williamsburg area. Obviously, we've got some 70-mile-per-hour winds there, inch-and-a-quarter hail, and you can see maybe potentially where some of that larger hail is kind of forming there as that sort of hail core that I just circled for you there. Yeah, where that pink is showing.
You could have some of those maybe up to ping-pong size hail. And Cayson, we do have another warning that's up to the north now, and that is into portions of Allamakee, Winneshiek counties. And we do have the winds continuing, 70-mile-per-hour winds. That then extends into areas just north of Waukon. And if we just zoom out kind of fully here, we do have these storms that have been moving in on a line across the state of Iowa. And I know sometimes it goes kind of fast, but if you want to put the loop on it, and we can kind of see how this has been evolving through the afternoon here. But we have had storms that have come out of the Nebraska area, went through Iowa, western Iowa, central Iowa, and have been moving very quickly. And this is a loop of the last 2 hours. It is moving incredibly fast, and there have been multiple reports of winds of 60 to 70 miles per hour, some of the tree and power line damage, as well as the tornado threat. And we do have just additional warnings that continue to come in. We've been pointing out these same areas, Dubuque County under another warning, and this is for 60-mile-per-hour winds. And there's I think it looks like there's some talk about the storm up to the north here around Winneshiek County. Back to the west of here, though, we do have some reports some images of damage from the Charles City area, which is just west of Winneshiek and Allamakee counties. And so there is a power line that's been knocked down, and this could be from some of those straight line strong winds coming in from these storms of the 60 to 70 mile per hour that we have heard of. And this is kind of the scene, unfortunately, that we're expected to see as we head into we continue to see this across the area, as we continue to see this line move across, rather. We just continue to get some more reports of winds of 70 miles per hour. Highway 3 at the Bremer County line, 70 mile per hour winds, small hail, heavy rain. We've had these larger reports of damage that have occurred with the tornadoes, but this is still going to have an impact, and these strong winds can still lead to damage to homes and to trees, and that can cause further damage to property or to the power lines and such. So we do have quite a bit of heavy rain ongoing. Could you throw on the lightning for me, because I'm just curious what that is looking like, because it was pretty prolific earlier, not necessarily quite as much. Now, this may be also a sign of some things weakening, and this has been kind of a day where we knew we would have these high parameters in place. We talked about this particularly dangerous situation, watch that is out, and we have seen what has come from it out to our west. And we have seen this happen even in our area with 70 mile per hour winds knocking out power, and now a tornado warning. But we do have these some of these storms that may be weakening some, and others that may be strengthening in some respects. But we had a lot of prolific lightning earlier. This line is not quite as, earlier had warnings up and down in terms of tornado warnings. So in that respect, there's some weakening, but this was kind of the area I was watching with the rotation potential. So tornado warning now, and this is for Benton and Buchanan counties. And I think still surprised, or wouldn't be surprised if we're talking 70 mile per hour winds, but very strong. Maybe starting to see that rotation here. Garrett is heading on I-80 in the Williamsburg area. It does look like he has some lowering there. Garrett, tell us what you're seeing over there.
Yeah, for the most part, what we're looking at right now is we're heading off towards our east on Interstate 80, trying to get out ahead of some of these cells a little bit. But this is looking off towards our south and west a little bit with this lowering. So this was the cell that had a tornado warning earlier this afternoon, I guess, when that was working its way throughout portions of I believe closer towards the Mahaska County there. So things have been, at least, we're keeping an eye on this one, as you kind of mentioned, that lowering certainly is there. However, just off towards our north, closer towards that Highway 30 line, of course, near Benton County, that's where you're kind of seeing that rotation. We've been watching that for a while. It's been on and off, on and off. And certainly starting to look a little bit more promising with that. But, of course, in the meantime, with that severe thunderstorm warning that is kind of working its way throughout Iowa County here, overall rotation looks to be relatively broad. But, of course, we're going to continue to keep a very close eye on this lowering here as we continue to move around it.
That's definitely some lowering of the clouds. So when we see these clouds that are lower down, that's kind of a step in the direction of what could be the production of a tornado. But we do have this storm that is currently warned, and we do have the rotation. This is, can you zoom in for me, around the Garrison area? And so this would be southwest of Benton, and you can kind of see this rotation that's gotten a bit tighter. There was kind of this broad rotation. There's a little bit of maybe radar contamination or something, but definitely a little bit more of the brighter colors meeting that could indicate that rotation, that it could be the sign of a tornado. So that's something that we'll be watching. The Weather Service just said the same kind of deal, that they are watching that rotation. Tornado warning, Benton, Buchanan counties, tight circulation southwest of Garrison, heading northeast at 60 miles per hour. So you can see some of it maybe on that other one. Maybe right about here would be the rotation. That would be heading very fast to the north and east toward or just west of Benton and just east of Brandon and west of Walker. And this would be still an area where we could see 70-mile-per-hour winds. That has had evidence of it coming out of Tama County. So that's something I do want you to be aware of. That just looks really broad and very windy. So we have just some incredibly strong winds that are likely going to come out of this, possibly a tornado threat. And this could also be a situation where things spin up very quickly and kind of dissipate. We'll have to just kind of watch and see how this evolves here over the next couple of minutes. And the warning goes until 7 p.m. because this is moving very fast at around 60 miles per hour. If you want to put one of those fans on it, we can at least track the stronger winds. This would be heading toward the Independence area, and we'd have to see exactly, I don't want to call it to the east or west of Independence, but if we kind of just track it and see the timing of it. But some of the stronger winds here getting toward the Independence area, if you want to put that on there. Then we have toward Independence, say around like 640, 645. Urbana could maybe get clipped by some of these storms in the wind by around 640, 650, and Winthrop's and Center Point. I mean, some of these storms are going to come up from the south and east here, so we'll be watching that certainly, and going to have the winds at least of around 60, 70 miles per hour, and that possibility of a tornado as well. So we'll continue to watch that. Is there anything that has come across from the Weather Service? I know that this is kind of coming, not necessarily, I don't think that they had any reports of a wall cloud. This was a storm to the north did earlier, but certainly some strong winds with that storm. Yeah, and kind of just going off and piggybacking that, Storm Spotter reporting 60-mile-per-hour winds just to the east of Garrison there. So maybe not looking at quite the tornado potential, but certainly you can see with some of those brighter colors, some of those increasing winds that we've been seeing. So that is the tornado warning that is going to be working its way there through Benton, as well as into Buchanan County there a little bit. Benton, obviously, you're in this right now, so that will be moving into your
Cedar area, Brandon, Raleigh, and then up near even Independence there along Highway 20. This would also cross Interstate 380, moving very, very quickly at around 60 miles per hour there.
I just want to butt in and say one thing real quick. We did get a report from Buchanan County Emergency Management, multiple roofs blown off and power lines down all over Buchanan County. So, you know, this is the reality of the situation. Doesn't matter if it's a tornado warning. We're talking about dangerous storms that are moving through right now. And we have, so that storm that was just probably moving northwest of Independence, just leading to damage. And we've had 60-mile-per-hour wind, I think that you were mentioning, around Garrison, and indication that, I mean, that could be strengthening as well in terms of the winds there. So that's kind of one of my concerns, and definitely seeing, you know, it's a broad rotation, 70-mile-per-hour winds, concern there, heading around the Benton area and to the north toward Brandon. So we do have multiple areas of concern here with not that tornado threat. I don't want to focus too much on the tornado threat. Regardless, it's an issue. So Gracyn, can you do me a favor and just Weather Service, any of those reports, send those along to the newsroom so we can get that information out to everybody, and then we will continue to see with these storms. So they have, you know, just couple other warnings come out across the area here. If you want to put the lightning back on there as well, starting to see an uptick in some of the lightning with that storm. So you can certainly see down to the south and west of Benton there, where we're noticing that rotation as well, that there's definitely an uptick that could be indicating some indication of the winds intensifying. And this, once again, would not focus too much on that tornado threat. Regardless if it's a tornado or if it's just the wind, it's going to do some damage, unfortunately. And we've already had evidence of that in Tama County with this storm that has put half the county, if not more, without power. I don't know, Mitch, if there's an update on that, but
we should in the next couple of minutes get more updates. This has been updated about every 15 minutes or so. We're at 4,000 people in Tama without power now. That's over 55%. We did get an update here and just an idea of just how fast the response has been to all this. In the last 15 minutes or so, Governor Reynolds issued disaster emergency proclamations for 15 counties, including Tama County, who just in the last maybe hour or so got hit with all this stuff. But those disaster proclamations out to help folks start picking up the pieces and get some more state resources there in the recovery. That's Adair, Adams, Cass, Clay, Hardin, Harrison, Jasper, Kossuth, Marshall, Montgomery, Page, Palo Alto, Pottawatomie, Tama, and Warren counties already getting those disaster proclamations. Boy, if we get any little bit, we're going to get back to Rebecca actually now.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we obviously do know that there's a lot going on in that respect in central Iowa that we will learn about in the coming days. We have a new update to the warning. It's not there on that look right there. They have updated this to destructive with the severe thunderstorm warning for 80-mile-per-hour winds now. So this is coming out of Benton. We were just talking about the stronger winds. You're probably going to have to take that fan off, Cayson, to get it to go. So if you just clear that, it'll show up again. But this warning right here, that is for Benton, you're going to have to zoom in on it or else it just wants the tornado warning. But we have this area here from Manchester, Coggin, Benton, Independence. It's this zone right here where the winds could be exceeding now over 70-mile-per-hour to 80-mile-per-hour winds. That was one of the concerns there that we were seeing, that we could be seeing an intensification of the winds as well. So let's just time it out. We'll ignore the, you know, yes, there's still a tornado warning. Regardless, you should be in your safe place, in the basement, lowest level of your home, away from the windows, because it doesn't matter if it's a tornado, it's 80-mile-per-hour winds. That's going to do damage. We've already had evidence of that across the area. So heading toward Brandon around 6:50, that's like in the next 7 minutes. Rowley within the next 15 minutes. Independence, 7 o'clock. Winthrop about 7:06, and Manchester, Strawberry Point toward the 8:20 or 7:20 rather, 7:20 to 7:25 time frame if that continues. Now, this is a corridor of the winds that could potentially spread out a bit more. And if it does, affecting portions of northwestern Lynn County into other portions of Buchanan and into Delaware County here toward Manchester. So that's something we'll certainly be watching. And if they're starting, let's see, they're keeping the tornado warning. That's fine. Can you zoom back in on the winds here and of some of the lightning that's happened down to the south? And I mean, you have this big zone here of some of the. We have so many warnings on there. I don't know if we can query on some of the winds. We have this big blob of the bright greens here indicating some very strong winds. I know I can kind of. I can maybe see if I can get some estimates on my end, but definitely some very strong winds ongoing with this, and we have just continued to see the uptick in these winds here. And we're kind of a little far away from the radar site too, so it might be hard to see. But we do have between LaPorte City and Benton heading around Highway 150 that goes up here toward Independence. This is coming toward Highway 20 and 150 toward Independence. If you know anyone who is driving on the road or going to be in this area or thinking about leaving, let's just hang it in. These storms are moving fast, 60 miles per hour. There's no reason to be out waiting for them to come on through. So showing the 45, it might be a little hard. We're right on the edge of that radar zone. So that's probably going to be a little difficult to estimate, but wouldn't be surprised, especially that far out, to get the winds, but those are readings that are way up above now. But we do have this strong zone could also maybe have a spin up within it, embedded within it. But the bigger issue here is now the warning for 80 mile per hour winds that still does not want to show up on the screen. But they're saying destructive, tornado possible with that, and an inch in diameter hail. That warning goes for just another 30 minutes. Look at the large area that it covers. Huge area that it covers, and it is for the next 30 minutes because of how fast this is moving up to the north and east. So we do have this storm with 80 mile per hour winds heading to the north and east and moving through Benton County, Vinton, toward Independence, Highway 20, and just near or west of Manchester. We then have the additional storms down to the south as well. Yes.
I just want to give a little bit of an update because the Quad Cities is going to be updating to 80 mile per hour winds over here near Dubuque. Now, a destructive storm. They just had out at the Dubuque airport were reported 77 mile per hour wind gusts. So this is now our second severe thunderstorm warning that is now labeled as destructive, where we're expecting those winds to move in. How about, let me switch it here. Let's maybe pull up the Dubuque Skycam and let's see if we can get maybe a shot here. I have that pulled up now. That is the look out at Dubuque right now. Man, you can see
the flag whipping around over there.
Flag is moving around, obviously, there, just kind of holding on. And you can see that storm is really starting to work its way on in now.
Yeah, and the airport reported a 77 mile per hour wind gust.
Yes. So that just showing you right there on one of our sites that is reporting. So some of those stronger winds now likely starting to move their way probably into the downtown Dubuque area there just a little bit here within the next couple of minutes. We'll likely see those pushing their way on through. So that will be another one of those destructive storms. So if you're in the Dubuque area there near the Dubuque airport, kind of traveling there, along what is that there? That is Highway
61.
Highway 61.
Yeah.
Man, try and get indoors, pull off for a little bit. That is certainly some tough driving conditions that you're going to be dealing with there. Likely seeing some hail within there, as well as some wind-driven rain that is going to be very difficult to drive in.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the big problem too. And we kind of had this little kind of time in between right when the commute started that you could kind of get out in eastern Iowa before this line started to really come on through. But Dubuque Airport, they're down to the south. That is where we do have we had the wind gust report of 77 miles per hour. So that is confirmed. I can only imagine that unfortunately that's doing some damage. The other thing that is just really unfortunate about these storms is the fact that we had all of this rain that has saturated some of the grounds, and we needed the rain. We needed the rain. Not saying that we didn't, but this can lead to some issues with the trees being able to be uprooted a bit easier, unfortunately, when the ground is that wet, or sometimes just the trees being so soggy in some of these spots. So would not be surprised that's kind of contributing to some things. So we do have right now these storms continuing to move on through, kind of trying to take an assessment of things. We have this storm, 80-mile-per-hour winds for Dubuque. That's going to cross the river into just in the tri-states area there. Then we have the tornado warning that continues, but really the concern is 80-mile-per-hour winds. And it still does. Oh, there it goes. It shows you the warning now. It did it. Destructive. 80-mile-per-hour wind tag on that. The strongest part of that looks to be right heading toward Independence. So if you're in the Independence area, you need to be ready to shelter. The storm is moving fast. It will be there within the next 10 to 15 minutes and could potentially knock out your power. That's just unfortunately the reality of the situation when we're dealing with these very strong storms. We have some flash flood warnings that are continuing to go up, and that has been an issue through the day today. Let's see. We do have the just continued concern of strong winds ongoing and 60 to 70 to 80 mile per hour winds, which was part of our concern through the day today. I think that's still the case up this way as well. Don't want to forget about these folks up here. So we've had some reports of 70 mile per hour winds coming out. Oh, I must have spidey senses were tingling.
That's brand new right there.
We had some 70 mile per hour reports come out of the Fayette County area, I believe. Let's go in on velocity here. So new tornado warning now. Allamakee, Clayton, Fayette, Winneshiek, right in the center of the area. I'm going to guess this is where we also have had some 70 mile per hour wind gusts. Can you, oh, we are on the La Crosse radar. Maybe right here. There's some rotation. There's some bright greens right here. And there's some reds. Don't laugh at me. I'm trying to assess on the fly. Okay, so we do have, we hadn't looked up here in a while. Now, there's a possibility there could be a quick spin up in this area. Same deal though, we've been under these warnings. Sirens are going off for the 70 mile per hour winds, and we have the potential now that we could have these quick spin ups that occur. This is south of Frankville, north of Postville, heading toward 51. There's probably a corridor of some pretty strong winds in this area, and we do have, let me see. Yeah, I'm trying to see if the warning is going to show up for me around Postville. I think that's about the same that we were kind of looking at there for the rotation. Postville heading there within the next couple of minutes, and saying about Postville. So this is moving northeast at 55 miles per hour. I was just making sure I was kind of on the right track with the rotation. But then we also have this broad area here moving in through northeast Iowa for 70 mile per hour winds. We will see that move out of the Decorah area and into Lansing, then down to the south out of Olwine, and we could see a new warning get extended into Guttenberg, Alcator area. Still, the tornado warning continues here. Getting very close to Independence. Let's go to the velocity on this because we can at least show where the winds are. There's a little bit of rotation certainly ongoing. It's pretty broad, but the bright greens are indicating that 70 to 80 mile per hour winds. That's going to be rushing toward Highway 20. That's not going to be pleasant to drive on. If you are heading anywhere out on Highway 20 or anywhere in the area and you don't have to, let's just hang tight. As we go down to the south then, we have, it looks like they issued a new warning for portions of Lynn County. That includes now Cedar Rapids. So let's go in on that one. We have the storm coming out. We've been watching this. This is the one I said coming out of Williamsburg, going into the Cedar Rapids area. And here it is. That 80 is for this storm. Yeah. What is the new one?
There we go. 70 and
mile per hour
inch
winds.
And a quarter. Yep.
You're in Cedar Rapids. We will start to hear them here shortly. The storm will lead to the sirens going off. That is for the 70 mile per hour winds. We do have Garrett Heyd, who is near this storm. Garrett, what are you seeing? Are you just passing by some trees right now? There's the storm. What have you been seeing out there?
Yeah, for the most part, we've been kind of watching this little system that's been working its way throughout portions of Marengo, and now starting to move over top of Norway. Now, the rotation has been somewhat there, especially in the upper portions of the atmosphere. When you go up a couple scans higher into the air, but the low-level rotation has kind of been hit and miss for the most part. But for the most part, that's kind of something we're really going to continue to watch for. This is that same storm earlier this afternoon again that did have that tornado warning on it. So this particular cell has had a history of at least producing a tornado, but at the moment, again, most of that doesn't look to be overly promising. The overall rotation seems to be kind of going the wrong direction in the meantime, but again, a lot of that is going to be something we're going to continue to watch for, because especially as a lot of those gusts coming out of it on the south side could very well potentially spark that spin up to work its way into the area, especially as that works its way towards the Cedar Rapids area for now. But yeah, we'll keep a very close eye on this here over the next couple of minutes.
And you know, Garrett, we'd kind of been talking about there's the instability that the atmosphere can have, and there was a lot of it. There was a ton of instability. We had these clouds during the day. We had some rain still coming through about 1 o'clock, but the instability held in that mid levels of the atmosphere, and that's where that wind threat is going to come from. So while we're not seeing that tight rotation and things coming down toward the surface, it's still going to lead to these rushes of wind. And so we'll continue to see as Garrett tracks that storm as well here. But you're hearing the sirens go off once again in Linn County and Cedar Rapids. It is because of 70-mile-per-hour winds. We also do have a destructive tag on the northern storm for 80-mile-per-hour winds, and we do have this storm starting to move toward the Cedar Rapids area, just around the New Hall area, and going to continue to the north and east. So we have multiple warnings. Looks like, let's see, Dubuque or Delaware and Jones counties. I think they maybe extended that. Was that what we were? Oh no, that's this one here, I think. So we have the storm coming out of New Hall that's going to come toward the southwestern side of Cedar Rapids with 70-mile-per-hour winds, and we can hear the sirens still going off here. Not a tornado warning. 70-mile-per-hour winds. Treat it the same way. Basement, central part of your home, away from the windows. Strong winds are coming in with this storm, and we have still seen evidence of some of these storms trying to spin up, but we do have these indications of very strong winds here. I wouldn't be surprised if this maybe also gets upgraded coming out of Norway with some really bright colors there. And there's certainly the potential this could, I mean, it looks similar to what the other velocity signature looks like. That's all I'm saying. But we do have some strong winds. They're going to continue to the north and east, heading right to along Highway 30 and going to be approaching that junction with Highway 100 toward 380 near Center Point, western side of Cedar Rapids. This could still expand a little bit further. I mean, it's moving kind of generally north and east, so I'm not ruling Cedar Rapids out. Center Point and Central City area. We have then the strong winds going toward Independence right now, and some rotation maybe still apparent there. And we have the other tornado warning up to the north. I would guess that tornado warning will be let go here when it's 7 p.m. Let's see. We do have the, I don't know if there's any more reports that have come in. Fairfax reported 50-mile-per-hour winds, quarter-size hail, torrential rain. So that would have been on the southwest side over here. We have sirens going off in Winthrop, I'm assuming because of that 80-mile-per-hour wind. There's the power out south of Lone Tree in Johnson County. Let's go down that way. I don't know that we've been down that way in a while. We have storms. Lone Tree's right over here, so perhaps from that storm, that was the problem. 70-mile-per-hour winds heading into Tipton, though, and through Cedar County. And then we have storms moving through Riverside. Nothing warned anymore down this way, so that is good news. But heavy rain ongoing Riverside. And then we have these storms that are continuing, and now that warning wants to keep showing up. All right, so we continue to see these strong storms. Really, it's been on the order of 70 to 80-mile-per-hour winds. And I know that we did have a photo from Waterloo of some damage there, and this would be the storms that were moving into portions of Fayette County. So very large branch, if not, yeah, big chunk of that tree that has come down. So that's some of the damage that you can expect and likely what is leading to some of the issues here. Let's take the Cedar Rapids sky cam. There's a storm coming into Cedar Rapids, shelf cloud right there that's coming in. You can see some of the lightning ongoing, and this is an indication of the cooler air is rushing out ahead of the storm. You can see though, oh, there you go. There's some structure to that storm. So this is a shelf cloud. This doesn't necessarily mean that we're talking about anything that it never means, oh, whenever there's a shelf cloud, there's something horribly ominous going on. But this shelf cloud has some structure. You can see kind of the lines to it, and that is indicating a strong storm. So this is definitely an indication of something ominous coming, and it is some strong winds coming toward the Cedar Rapids area right now. So we continue to have winds on the order of 70, 80 miles per hour being reported in the area. There's the shelf cloud coming in to Cedar Rapids, and behind it you will see the rain picking up and the wind picking up, but you won't because you'll be in your basement, right? Right. Yes. We do have the tornado warning. I'm guessing they will let go. Haven't seen anything. Gracyn, have you had any reports come in?
No, I'm just continuing the same ones basically.
Yeah, so still
thunderstorm, yeah.
So they have can you scroll back down there? They have enhanced potential for the 70 to 80 mile per hour wind gusts. So one near Independence, the other near Southwest Benton, moving into Lynn. So exactly what we've been saying. Looks like tornado warning gone. So we have still the warning to the north. And we have these very strong winds moving in.
Yeah, it's kind of like two areas of those strong winds here. The one that's obviously working its way into Lynn County here just to the west of Cedar Rapids. You can see that has quickly already crossed Highway 30 now and is on the east side of Cedar Rapids there. Or excuse me, the west side of Cedar Rapids. So that's one area where we do have obviously those winds from 70 to 80 miles per hour. The other one is just moved through the Independence area there along Highway 20, Winthrop, Lamont, eventually going to be moving its way into Manchester there. That is another core of those winds that are very, very strong for at least right now. And you can see maybe where some of those brighter colors are at there of those greens, indicating a little bit of those higher velocities that are pushing their way to the north and east there, but certainly some tough driving conditions there. And those are kind of like the two main areas. We obviously had that that destructive thunderstorm near the Dubuque area that has quickly moved through the city now. Maybe some power outages and whatnot, but that warning has been allowed to extend a little bit further to the east into Illinois as well as Wisconsin. So we do have a couple more warnings left off to the north. We still have this tornado warning, which I'm assuming is likely going to be expired as well here, 7:15. So they might let that one go, or they might have let that go. That was near Postville, where we saw at least some areas of potentially some broad rotation, but overall nothing too crazy there. But if you are in Winneshiek as well as Allamakee counties, you are under that severe thunderstorm warning, and you're likely dealing with some of those stronger winds right now that have just moved through Waukon, Hanover there along Highway 76, and eventually will continue to move their way to the east there along Highway 9, eventually getting to the Mississippi River there near Lansing as well as Harper's Ferry, and then eventually near the Waterville area as well. So those storms, obviously a little bit of a surging line there with that severe thunderstorm warning, which I'm trying to get it for you, is 70 miles per hour along with that considerable tag on it here as we go forward. But the main concern and main area that we are watching there is that destructive thunderstorm that is pushing its way through Buchanan County. Eventually will go into Delaware County as well, and might even start to move 80 mile per hour tags. We do have Cedar Rapids Skycam here. You can take that real quick. We'll take a look off to the west there.
Because this is on that kind of southwest side of town where where the winds are going to come in. So you can see the shelf clouds pass through and nothing's quite happening yet.
I was going to try, and I thought I had the main sky cam up is what I thought, and there you go. Okay.
But I was saying that one's on the southwest side of town. We're still on the northeast side here, and so there you can see kind of the edges of the shelf cloud, and we have some of that kind of like the little fingers underneath it, which are just scary looking clouds. They're scuddy clouds. Nothing that is, tornado or anything like that, but definitely indicating that we do have this strong storm moving in, and we have the storm going to continue to move. That shelf cloud move across and over our heads, and then you can see the wall of water.
Just some very, very heavy rain, that's for sure.
Yes.
And I'm not quite sure how the lightning is really doing. Obviously, the lightning's not quite as high really anymore, or not quite as much. So maybe some signs that we're not seeing quite that, obviously, hail core, maybe a little bit of
intensification.
Yeah.
There was, on the northwest side of town, a spotter reported 50-mile-per-hour winds and torrential rain. So that's kind of getting on that northwest side of, and the southwest portions of the city, and then that's going to move kind of to the north and east. And some of the northeastern side of town may miss some of the strongest of the wind, but we're going to hear it here in a second.
Yeah.
We are going to hear it here in a second. You can see the wall of water that is approaching right now and going to lead to some very heavy rain. If you're out, I wonder what Collins Road looks like. It doesn't look like too busy. But if you are out, and I don't know if, Mike, you want to look at some sky cams or some DOT cams around the Cedar Rapids Metro, because you're going to probably see some pretty torrential rain, and that's going to be, part of it. And then we have the 70-mile-per-hour wind issue as well that is going to be picking up with that rain. So we do have these multiple warnings, and kind of a reset here. Maybe if we just zoom out big picture, we have a flash flood warning to the north. We have still the line of storms. Now, we have gotten pretty lucky with the tornado threat being lower, but we do still have these 70, 80-mile-per-hour winds. We do have an image in the Cedar Rapids area of people waiting the storm out. Now, we're not under an overpass. Beautiful. We do have, though, one car trying to go through. But yeah, probably some very torrential rain occurring right now that people are not wanting to drive through at the moment. And we have some strong winds as well as probably contributing to that. And that wall of water heading into the northeast side of Cedar Rapids here shortly.
I would pull the sky cam up, and you can see
oh my goodness,
the wall of water here. It's pretty impressive. You can't see anything anymore. It looks like a big fog, and you can only see so far. So that's that intense heavy rain that you just saw in the DOT camera there on the northwest side. This is moving through into northeastern Cedar Rapids right now, and you can see the wind's starting to pick up a little bit, camera's shaking a little bit here, and eventually we're just going to be blasted by rain. So that's what folks are kind of dealing with if they are out on the roadways there. Haven't seen any reports of any issues, at least on those roadways, or whether or not there's any crashes, but obviously you can see the wind picking up here throughout the Cedar Rapids metro area, with those winds starting to move in, and the intense rainfall that is going to be coming, where it's going to be pretty hard to see regardless if you're outside for at least right now.
Yeah, I mean, here it comes right into the studio here. We can hear it, and you can hear the wind going through the wind going through, and Mitch apparently trying to see the reality of it. Oh my goodness. Nope. Oh no. Very strong wind. So yeah, we have some really strong winds coming through there. I wonder if there was anything that came out of CID that had any gusts there, but not seeing anything yet. But we do have still some, strong winds. This is for 70-mile-per-hour winds. So was waiting to see if kind of what side of town ended up seeing some of the stronger winds. We're right kind of on that edge, and we're certainly getting into it still on the northeastern side. I suspect the western side of town is probably seeing some even stronger winds than that order of 70 miles per hour.
Yeah, and you can kind of see here, obviously we're in the split box, but where some of those brighter greens are there, as that moves pretty much right over Interstate 380 on the northwest side, those would be indications of where some of those more intense winds are. You saw the camera here, and we heard it in northeast Cedar Rapids, but more than likely there's some stronger winds on the west side of town right
And this
now.
is a little bit behind, so I wouldn't be surprised, but I mean, we, definitely would would be seeing some even probably the 70-mile-per-hour winds, and we're still talking like 60-mile-per-hour winds here. That's still strong. And then as soon as it comes, there it goes. And that's what we're talking about, this fast moving, storm that's coming through here. And there's definitely, I will say, when we were looking at that velocity, there's some broad rotation that is going on there around the Cedar Rapids, north side of Cedar Rapids as well. So you can kind of see it on reflectivity too, that there's that little bit of the inflow notch that was happening, but there's the bright greens and some of the bright reds, kind of, not necessarily super indication of what would be tornadic or anything just yet, but certainly some strong winds there is something that we'll have to watch and see if that evolves into anything else. But going through Robbins, Hiawatha area, and to the north and east. Because this is moving a little easterly, that's kind of where some of the northeast side of town may get into it. Central City here shortly, Highway 13. And then we have the storms going to the north, still with that destructive tag of 80 miles per hour. We do have that for Manchester, Independence, storms that move through Independence there. And then I'm surprised this did not get extended into Olwine, but perhaps some of the weakening occurred there. But we do still have some pretty strong winds ongoing here on the 70 to 80 mile per hour front. And then just exiting north out of the Fayette County area. And then we have these storms that are starting to get to the east of the Mississippi. So we do have Harper's Ferry going to have some gusty winds, could be 60, 70 mile per hour winds, and then heading toward the Mississippi there. We also do have flash flood warnings back to the west, and we've had multiple reports of roads going underwater in a lot of our western counties because of the heavy rain so far today and this morning especially. Mitch also just looked outside and said that it's totally calm. I mean, that's just how fast these storms are moving.
It's eerie. 5 minutes ago, we had a former coworker, Hannah, text us, who's watching. Thank you for watching, Hannah, and said, "Oh, I thought we lost you there. You could just hear the wind whipping, and in a span of again a couple minutes, it has gone from those winds that we were expecting to just total calm. It's eerie. A testament to how fast these systems are moving.
It's incredibly fast, and it's how quick things are going to happen. That's why we were saying, you're up next. You need to start going to your shelter and, maybe not open the door. But that's, we have these strong winds continuing to the north and east, and we are going to continue to see these storms evolve. I do want to look back out to the west, though, and there's still the cold front that has to come through. And there's been a little bit of redevelopment around Fort Dodge and back toward east of Ames. So you can see there's some shower and thunderstorm activity there. So that's something we'll have to watch too to see if that is, completely done in that respect. We do have these storms down to the south and east that are not warned currently. There's this guy that just came over the border and is now warned. That would probably take a trajectory outside of our area, though, toward the Quad Cities. And there's a bunch of tornado warnings into Wisconsin towards Madison. So we don't have currently any tornado warnings. We do still have these 70, 80 mile per hour winds. New severe thunderstorm warning for Cedar, Delaware. So this storm here, that's the new one that came in for portions of, is that Johnson, southeast Lynn County. It's the one that's blinking. And then that is for, I know they're all trying to just pop up. This is for those 60 mile per hour winds. So it doesn't have the 70 on it. This one just north of Iowa City has 60 mile per hour winds and some quarter size hail moving at around 55 miles per hour. So incredibly fast. There have been some spotters that have reported some of this either hail or hail was reported, and the wind. So both 60 mile per hour winds and quarter size hail have been reported. So we do have that going on, and that is going towards Solon, and then to the north and east back toward Anamosa, kind of riding to the north into Cedar County, Jones County. And we will have then this storm that will be potentially producing some 60 mile per hour winds. And we'll see, this area has been a little bit worked over, so hopefully doesn't see much re-strengthening. But we have, multiple warnings. I'm guessing, look at this, that warning is out for 7:30 and the storm's already out of there. unless they're warning that storm down to the south. I don't know what's going on. But we have, I don't know what's going on with this one. But we have multiple warnings all over the place. We're starting to whittle them down a little bit, but still 70 to 80 mile per hour wind, or we'll call it 60 to 80 mile per hour winds. It seems like maybe we're seeing a little bit of reduction in those stronger winds, but certainly still could see a little bit of an uptick in some spots.
Yeah, I think some of those winds, especially probably in that maybe destructive tag a little bit, since some of those aren't not being warned into Fayette and Clayton counties, might be coming down a little bit. But obviously that severe thunderstorm warning that just passed through the Cedar Rapids metro area and is working its way through Lynn County. And unfortunately, I'm just not able to pull it up here because we've just got warnings that are overlapping warnings here, and it's very hard for the system to kind of grab hold and give us the flash and obviously give us the information there. But still, that's 70 mile per hour winds there for that severe thunderstorm warning that is in portions. Here of Johnson.
The Johnson, Lynn.
Yeah, Benton.
Cedar.
Yep.
Ben's over there. Cedar, Jones counties, and then it's like a sliver of Dubuque County is this one. Then you have the Benton one off to the west that has that 80 tag on it still. I don't know if they're just behind because of how fast things are moving. I think, yeah, everything keeps updating. So Cedar County, Loudoun, that storm moving to the north and east. That's until 8 p.m. That has 60 mile per hour winds moving at 70 miles per hour. Still have a couple of storms around the Benton area, and we have these storms moving through Cedar Rapids. We do have some photos of damage in Cedar Rapids on the northeast side, and so there is a very large tree branch in my friend's backyard. Apologies to the Wagners, but wow. I was just sitting in the backyard there. That is a very large branch. So that's the indication of the strong winds right by the Twin Pines golf course there. And also, you know, in addition to our weaker trees, unfortunately, in the Cedar Rapids area, some of these branches that have been kind of hanging on, and some of these big parts of the trees that have been just trying to hang in there, perhaps are getting knocked down too. And I don't know if we're going to have some issues with power outages as well. Hopefully not, but we know that there's already been some issues with that across the area so far this evening, and we could see more of that as we have these 70 mile per hour winds or so coming on through. But storm still going through Cedar Rapids. We have some rain now. That heavy wind, or the stronger winds, starting to lift to the north of Lynn County. Can we zoom in on this? Because this is probably where some of the stronger stuff is happening now. So around Alburnett toward Coggin and into then southwestern portions of Delaware County. So that bright green there, that's where we're going to see those stronger winds heading into the southwestern portions of Delaware County. Can you zoom in on what's south of Manchester there? There's Ryan, Hopkinton, and would be heading toward Manchester to Dyersville, probably still scooting to the east of Manchester and into maybe portions of Dubuque County if it continues. But that's where the strongest winds are going to be going toward and just east of the Coggin area there, and probably right around the Central City area at the moment. If that's, see, I was pretty good. About there on Highway 13, moving to the north and east. So that's where you're going to want to go into your basement, stay away from the windows, and wait for this thing to pass. It moves through rather quickly in terms of the strongest winds. And we saw just a large tree branch. You don't want to be anywhere near a window if that comes down. We also have some quarter-size hail to be coming out of this. And we continue to have additional thunderstorms moving across the area and starting to see at least I think it looks like that 80 mile per hour wind tag went away. Yeah,
they got rid of that warning, so that was allowed to kind of expire. So those have obviously gradually weakened a little bit. Probably that strongest storm is here in Lynn County right now with those winds around 70 miles per hour. We then have that other severe thunderstorm warning for 60 miles per hour where we had those storms move through down in Iowa City here. And those will be tracking their way to the north and east within that warning box. So you got places like Anamosa here, Wyoming, Monticello, up into Cascade. That would be far southern Dubuque County. That would be where you could potentially see some strong winds, maybe some hail around 70 miles per hour, and then just a whole mess of just severe thunderstorm warnings just tacked on top of each other here. You've got this smaller warning box here right around the Cedar County area, but looks like there's not much in the way of storms there really anymore. It looks like that has worked its way a little bit further off to the north and east. So these storms are still moving very, very quickly, 55, 60, 65 miles per hour as we go forward here. Obviously, there has been at least some storms developing a little bit behind this sort of line of storms that we had there. So down into Iowa and Keokuk County there, you can see that there is a few more storms that have started to kind of develop a little bit there west of Williamsburg, west of Sigourney and as well as some more storms firing just behind that near Tama County, Grundy County. Those will be kind of forming as well. So we're going to have to kind of see how those sort of play out. Obviously, the environment across the area is sort of been worked over with the strong storms that have been moving through, but that will be something to watch here as well.
Yeah, and we do have, this is I-380 Tower Terrace Road in Cedar Rapids, well, north toward like the Robbins area here, and looks like there's some cars and maybe some things stopped under the overpass, which is not a place to be, especially during a tornado warning, but still even with the winds, it creates a wind tunnel under those overpasses. I don't know if there's like construction crews or something that are trying to get their cars out or stopped or something, but pull off to the side of the road. You don't need to wait for that. You don't need to be under the overpass. Not going to be beneficial. Can cause more problems. Looks like still some heavy rain falling there. Maybe some of the winds are starting to back off a little bit in that area as that moves off to the north and east, and some of the stronger winds now going through Central City, Prairieburg and Coggin, and then toward Ryan, Hopkinton. And we have the rain just north of Cedar Rapids now, and continuing to have the storms, moving through the just moving through eastern Iowa and pushing to the north and east, and eventually going to get on out of here. But we do have still very strong winds going on, and these storms that are still tagged with 60, 70 mile per hour winds. And we've seen even out of those 70 mile per hour winds, still some of the damage that has occurred, and still some of the power outages that have occurred. Mitch, I don't know if you have any power outage updates that have happened. I don't know if anything's come out of Benton or Lynn County just yet.
Not yet. The last update was 7:09, so I'm sure we'll get one here in the next 2-3 minutes or so. But still seeing kind of an expansion in the northeast part of the viewing area. People losing power. Fayette County, you got 800 people out of the just less than 11,000 customers tracked. Winneshiek pushing 700. 10-6 up there total that they're tracking. But Howard County, you got about 1,500. Chickasaw, about 700. Bremer, again, about 1,500. We've talked about them. Blackhawk County, now over 6,000 people without power. And Tama County still around that 4,000 people without power. That's more than half the county there. So still waiting for numbers to come out of Benton and Lynn and Johnson and Iowa and everywhere else. But again, just how fast that system at least moved through our neck of the woods here in northeast Cedar Rapids to go from these massive gusts to nothing in a matter of minutes. Not only these winds moving 70 miles per hour, but this system moving that quick too. It shows you just how fast everything can change in an instant.
And it looks like maybe some of those western counties have gotten some power restored. I know some of the harder hit areas maybe it takes some time. And Tama County looks like has quite a bit of outage, as well as then Blackhawk, Butler County, and I think I was seeing reports in Butler County of some of the power lines going down as well. So,
and you kind of mentioned it earlier, this could potentially be also because of all the rain that has been received and the saturation, and the ground's a little bit softer, and it didn't take much really in the way of winds to maybe knock some power poles over compared to other places who have had a little bit less rain today.
Taking down too just the trees that are near power lines, and it makes it unfortunately easier for some of those trees to be uprooted in that respect, or just like if the trees are really soggy, that is going to contribute, unfortunately, as well. So we do have still these warnings ongoing. So a lot of this is now focused in the south and east. And we do have the warnings to the north that there just looks like a lot of that's getting out to the Mississippi River now. And we have still a lot of these tagged as considerable on the 60, 70 mile per hour front. We do have some, apparently at my house, some tiny brain, and the warning continues for Linn County for those 70 mile per hour winds moving northeast at 65. I know you were tracking that one out a little bit there too. The Linn County one. Trying to see if anything new has come in here, but a lot of reports obviously coming out of central Iowa as well. There's been a lot of power outages reported across the areas we've been also discussing. We do have in, let's see, Grundy County, some of the flooding that's been ongoing there, and some of the heavy rain that has been kind of coming from what happened last night and this morning, still causing an issue with some additional showers and storms today. Any other reports coming in? Let's see. 500 without power in Linn County?
Yeah, all
Okay.
Are
all Linn,
yeah, 519 according to the update from
Okay.
poweroutage.us. But yeah, all REC customers. I'm checking Alliant as well. Looks like there's maybe a sizable amount. Yeah, about 2,100 down. North of Iowa City, yeah, that we're talking about. West Branch, there's 1,300. West Liberty, you got 240. Around the Wellman area, yeah, you got a handful, a few dozen there. But for the most part, it looks like maybe Linn County, at least until we wait to get more reports in, not a whole heck of a lot of power outage impact, certainly not what we've seen in other spots. Yeah, Adair County is almost completely back on power, it looks like tonight, but certainly
I think
not
that,
having
like,
power is the least of their worries tonight.
we had this thing one time where all the trees that hit all the power lines kind of did that already in Linn County.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Again, Adair County, yeah, back on power, but certainly if you've seen those images out of Greenville,
Yeah.
do we have a minute to maybe take some time and try to get a look? We've got this drone video from Greenville. Maybe if we don't have
let's
the time.
do it in a second.
All right.
We do have this warning still because we do have some new images that have come out of central western Iowa. We have this warning still. Cedar Rapids is included in it, but the winds are now moving to the north, and we do have Garrett, who's out in the Road Warrior, who's been on this storm, and he's watching kind of, I don't know if he's on necessarily the southern side of it and watching it here, but looks like Highway 30, and he said it was very windy out on Highway 30, and we have just the thunderstorms. So must be watching. Yeah, from the south side, looking up at the storm to the north there. And Garrett, I don't know if you have anything you would like to add on to how this has happened or how this has been as it's come through, or any damage that maybe you've come across so far this evening.
For the most part, other than it getting pretty windy here along Highway 30, we're pretty close to south side of Mount Vernon here, probably in a minute or two. So you're kind of looking at this cell that's sitting over top of or in between Springville and Mount Vernon, kind of taking a peek at it from the western side of this whole cell. Of course, it is still producing a fair amount of wind. As far as overall wind damage is concerned, personally haven't seen a whole lot, at least kind of where we've been up and around, mainly along I-80, and then we kind of moved our way up along 151. Back towards the Cedar Rapids area, right as that was working its way through the area. Other than, again, it's kind of as you guys have been already mentioning and talking about, obviously it's been getting pretty windy. Have certainly been feeling that quite a bit here over the past couple of minutes or so, especially as these cells have continued to kind of push the way throughout portions of Linn and Jones County. But other than that, yeah, it's been kind of just really windy.
Yeah, and I mean, thankfully, we haven't had any reports of tornadic activity and what we were seeing in western Iowa. We can kind of go back to that too, where this tornado watch has been posted. And when we talk about a tornado watch, it gets put out there. Tornado obviously catches the eye. This was also put out, though, for the potential for these 90 mile per hour wind gusts, which we've had some reports of 80 mile per hour winds. And we also have had some reports of some larger hail. And that was also an issue, a consideration and a threat as well. They have started to take off some of the counties, though. So we're starting to get, toward the beginning of the end of this here. We do have the watch still out as these storms are still pushing to the east of the Mississippi. But we do know that this tornado watch did lead to some destructive storms. And I know, Mike, you said you do have that drone video available from these storms earlier. So we can show that. And this was from the Greenfield area. Is that correct? So this is Greenfield, and this is horrific destruction, and we have unfortunately seen this in Western Iowa too often.
A couple times this year.
Recently.
It's not been, you never want to see that.
Yeah, very difficult, and looks like some homes that were destroyed and some trees that have been just completely, the leaves are gone off those trees. A lot of damage and recovery that is going to have to happen. And Iowa State Patrol is saying that out of here also multiple injuries. And we talked about the potential for long track tornadoes, and you can see the long track of debris and destruction from this storm, unfortunately. So this is new video coming out of Greenfield from the tornado there. And of course, we'll learn some more information about these as we have as we get some more information in the coming days from the National Weather Service. And it'll take time. And we still know that there are some areas in Western Iowa that are still recovering from these storms that moved through earlier in April. So now we have more communities that are going to need help and recovery there, and hopefully not any serious injuries, but we at least know that there are some injuries due to these storms. And we have still some storms moving through eastern Iowa that can still do damage, not to the intensity of some of those tornadoes we're seeing out to the west, but we still have storms that are leading to power outages, leading to tree damage, and we also had reports of roof damage in Buchanan County. Is that what I believe it was happening earlier? So we've had some reports of quarter-size hail around Coralville, 80-mile-per-hour winds around Loudon earlier this afternoon. Is there anything else that you've seen coming in?
Just some more damage reports in Butler County there, and as well as kind of into Tama County there. Got some reports of some trees that actually fell down on a house, some pretty large branches there, so falling onto the roof of a house and causing some damage. So just some indications there of the very intense storms and the very strong winds that move through here with this wind threat this afternoon and evening.
So new warning now. This is for Cedar, Delaware, Dubuque, Jones, and Lynn. This is getting out of Lynn County around the Springville area and has 70-mile-per-hour winds, as well as the potential for some ping-pong-size hail. And that hail would be right around the Anamosa to Springville area, right in between there, right around Highway 1, north of Highway 1 on Highway 151. And then this is, looks like kind of a funky box here, but this is moving like northeast, so we'll see it move potentially toward the Anamosa area, and this is for another half an hour. And then we have another warning that got issued. No, maybe this is it. I don't know. There's so many. There was a severe thunderstorm warning that went into Dubuque County. Oh, so there was another one. It's okay. So this one goes until, there's one for 8:15 somewhere, but that's okay. We're going to figure it out. I think it's this one. Yes, there we go. I found it. So we have this storm that's to the south here toward Anamosa until 8 o'clock that has 70-mile-per-hour winds. And then we have this one that was coming out of Cedar Rapids heading through Central City, Coggin. The strongest winds are probably just on the leading edge here and heading toward Hopkinton and then toward Dyersville, Holy Cross. I mean, we were just talking about this earlier, but still has that 70-mile-per-hour tag on it and has a potential to produce still those strong winds and hail of quarter in size. And we continue to have just these reports of some trees, branches, power outages, and we are going to see these storms sweep through, and then eventually the cold front will sweep through as well, and continue to see any reports of any other damage that happens, unfortunately, that comes in, and hopefully we can get some power restored to people and help with the recovery that's happening out to the west in western Iowa. We do have thunderstorms that are just around Grundy Center to Marshalltown that have been redeveloping there. Nothing in terms of warnings or anything yet. I'm going to throw on the satellite and radar and see if I can find it. I'm just going to click here. And Cayson knows so that he needs to clean up his workspace on the computer. That's okay. We do have some clearing that's happening. Garrett was just saying that he's seeing some sunshine, and so there is some clearing that's going on here. Now, the cold front is just getting to I-35, and so could there still be some additional development? Perhaps. But in terms of the intense storms, the atmosphere is getting pretty worked over, so there's probably not going to be a lot of really big intensification. Not to say that we couldn't see maybe some storms intensify a bit, but there's a Garrett shot around the Cedar Rapids area, and so we do have, this is Cedar County, so there's some sunshine, and it must be Highway 30 and just kind of in between the storms that are moving through there. So we do have one storm to the north, and you can kind of see that in the distance there, the anvil cloud right up ahead, I'm guessing. And then there's other storms off to the east. So we do have still these thunderstorms moving through, but then some peaks of sunshine coming out and at least giving us a chance to kind of get a breather here in eastern Iowa. But honestly, we have, I know we do have damage in our area. We do have some spots where we're going to be dealing with the power outages and some tree damage, and we have had some reports of at least some buildings that have been damaged with some roofs that have come off. But in terms of what could have matriculated today with intense, long-lived, violent tornadoes, we escaped that threat, and we have not had we've had a couple of tornado warnings, but it's more so been that wind threat, which still, of course, can do damage. But we have also seen what has really been happening off to our west here that was occurring earlier today. So we do have these warnings. I'm going to switch back to our velocity. And we have the still quite a bit of lightning going on, some strong winds around Hopkinton moving toward Dyersville, and then the 70-mile-per-hour winds Anamosa, and then the this storm coming out of West Liberty. This is a new one that is between West Liberty and Muscatine, heading into portions of Cedar County. It's just been like different portions of the counties being hit. And if you're hearing sirens go off multiple times, it just may depend on what the county's rules are. But 70 mile per hour does sometimes indicate that we will have the sirens be sounded, and does not always mean a tornado. But we do have some potential here as it heads towards Wilton and maybe towards Tipton, though everything's kind of drifting to the north and east, and then toward Wheatland, that there could be some 70 mile per hour winds there. That's pretty much been the tag on everything. Not one that we see really all the time, but we've seen a whole lot of it today. A whole lot of 70 mile per hour warnings. That does not happen very often. We do still have some of that thunderstorm activity off to the west, and it's just kind of an assessment of all of the different reports that have been coming in so far today. We do have the we know many locations dealing with some power outages. May take some time to fully get those numbers in across the area. I don't know if you've seen anything else, Cayson, come in here recently.
That's pretty much it, is that there's just those, the wind and those stronger storms there kind of exiting Lynn County for right now. And it's really those two areas that are pretty much the main concern, where we could see 60 to 70 mile per hour winds. Some of those severe thunderstorm warnings up there in kind of Winneshiek, Allen McKee County, those have allowed to expire, but you are likely dealing with some areas of heavy rain up there, kind of some rumbles of thunder, but in terms of any severe threat, really not expected there. But some of those folks who are still in the path of that, as we get a little bit closer here, maybe Dubuque County up into Clayton, Delaware, you'll likely see those winds really pick up rather quickly, like we saw here in Cedar Rapids, and then before you know it, the storms are already moving through the area, and you'll be seeing a lot calmer conditions there, because these storms are just cruising, 50, 60, even 70 miles per hour.
Yeah, that's at least part of it. And I don't want to act like I'm not listening or anything. I'm trying to get some more pictures to our crew. We did have, I don't know if you saw them, Gracyn, too, in Butler County in the Des Moines National Weather Service. There were some trees down on a home. Why can't I open?
That was the one that I had talked about there from the emergency manager.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, there we go. Rebecca's going to keep
what's going on with the power outages?
So still not seeing a big uptick in Lynn County. About 560 people without power, according to this, as of 7:36, so in the last 90 seconds or so. Cedar County, significant power outage there. There is We're pushing 3,500 people out of about 8,000 customers tracked by poweroutage.us in Cedar County without power. The vast majority of those, actually all of them, Alliant Energy customers. So you're 80 mile per hour winds there in Cedar County.
Yes.
And yeah, more than 40% of people without power tonight. Butler County starting to get a little back more on, but still more than 40% of people out there, as well as Rebecca tries to get those images of everything we've been hearing about there.
Have the weather scan hooked up? Because I could do that a little faster.
Jones County's got about 500 people out. Clinton pushing 800 now as everything starts tracking to the east. Dubuque's got 400 out. Alameda 200. Winneshiek just a little under 700 right now. Just for perspective, nationally, there's 67,000 electric customers, energy customers in the state of Iowa without power. Aside from Harris County, Texas, which has been dealing with flooding and all sorts of long-term power outages the last couple of weeks, there is no place in the country right now dealing with power outages like this and this system. Even the Dakotas and Nebraska, everything to our west, this is all just hit Iowa and has swept across throughout the day. We are starting to see some improvements on the west side of the state, but it sounds like Rebecca's ready to go.
Yeah, we do have now a tornado warning for Cedar County.
Yep.
So I actually saw this come across and I wasn't quite sure what was happening, but they said that Muscatine Fire Department reported a tornado, and now they have just straight up gone confirmed tornado for Cedar County. And so this is Muscatine, Cedar, Scott County, and we do have now this tornado warning that they're saying confirmed. So
an extremely dangerous tornado as well.
Oh my goodness!
Within that tag, confirmed large and extremely dangerous tornado located 8 miles north of Muscatine, and this is cruising once again at 65 miles per hour. You hardly ever see that here. So let me see if I can't get on potentially where we might see maybe where some of that potential rotation could be at, but I'm not.
I'm seeing the Weather Service looks like they're going to be getting us some information here. So they're saying, let's see, near Atalisa or 8 miles north of Muscatine. So this is perhaps the rotation. This is interesting because we are very close to the radar here and not really seeing a whole lot, but receiving reports of tornado on the ground north of Muscatine. So there have been reports of a tornado on the ground. So that's why they went with the confirmed tag and saying that there could be some damage with this. This would be heading into the Wilton area here. It would be just, I would imagine, something around here heading toward Moscow in Muscatine County, Lime City near Wilton, and Sunbury to the north and east towards Bennett. And this is an image on I-80 near the north of Wilton, so into Cedar County. It might be hard to know exactly what's coming out of that here, but we do have at least the storm that's going to be getting close there. And regardless, we had already had, I think this warning had some 70 mile per hour wind tag on it that we were just watching it come out of West Liberty, and now reports, multiple reports of a tornado on the ground near Muscatine, north of Muscatine, heading to the north toward the Wilton area. So once again, in the basement and in your safe place and going now because it's moving fast. I mean, we've just been watching this. It was just here. Now it's here. So heavy rain moving into Wilton as we were seeing there. Perhaps seeing some of that maybe inflow and some of the potential developments on the radar of what could be a tornado, but it's been confirmed. It has been seen. It has been spotted. And I'm not seeing any reports of necessarily damage. I'm not sure if they're about to say anything else, but they're just saying tornado moving toward Wilton. There we go. So we do have the tornado there. Garrett was suggesting if we go up some scans and can see the rotation. I don't know that we can easily manipulate that on Max right at the moment. I can see it there on radar scope. If you go up a scan, it's right about here and heading toward Wilton.
Right where that hook
yes.
is,
so I mean
that's
what we were kind of alluding to as well. And so this is a correlation coefficient which is a radar product. This shows us any damage. When we were seeing the storms out in western Iowa, we were seeing big blue spots indicating the damage and the debris that was occurring with those storms and the confirmed tornadoes. And now we are not seeing really much evidence of that with this, I would say, at this time. Hard to say if you're getting much indication there. But the tornado would be right kind of where this these two are intersecting. Yeah, right around, I'm not getting Moscow on mine, but I think east of Moscow heading toward Wilton. There you go. That's a big jump. I mean, this is moving incredibly fast. So rotation now over the Wilton area and heading to the north and east towards Sunbury. That would be the next one up, going to be crossing I-80. Mike, if you have that sky cam, maybe you'd probably be seeing it. So this is by Lime City. Can we take it full? Just take it full. So let's just see if we can see anything with the camera there. I mean, a lot of rain happening, and it's kind of approaching I-80, so the tornadoes south of this still, but there's definitely some heavy rain that's ongoing, would make it difficult to see, and potentially also some of the hail that's ongoing there could be around a quarter in size. And anything else? Let's see. Not anything that's from this warning. We're continuing to get some other reports. Cattle shed, just rebuilt, roof blown off and damage to the sides in Monmouth, Iowa. And some damage around Oxford Junction that was just reported. Now that's, no, Columbus Junction, sorry. I was like, that would have made sense, but no, that's further to the north. I apologize. We then have had some Dubuque County semi blown over with a driver trapped on Higginsport Road west of Bernard. Farm buildings down on multiple farms, mostly outbuildings, Dubuque County. So, you know, these storms, regardless of this tornado threat, which now is confirmed, then that's still just the wind threat that is causing these other issues. So tornado warning continues here. Let's go back to full on max here. We have the rotation that is ongoing. That is still just, I think my scan's a little bit behind here, but going through the Wilton area and going to be approaching I-80 here very shortly. And we will have that heading toward New Liberty. Unfortunately, an area that just, we just had storms come through, and we had we've had some storms come through the southeastern part of the state here as well. But we do have we had New London down further to the south that had a tornado, and then we had these strong winds have been coming through this way, and we continue to have the storms that are producing still strong winds, and now this tornado threat. So we were talking about the possibility of this still spinning up, and here we are. So we do not have anything new necessarily coming out of this. Warning goes until 8 p.m. We have the rotation getting north of Wilton toward then the I-80 area. That's going to continue to lift to the north, and tornado has been on the ground and confirmed. Let's see if we go back to the rotation product. There's that DOT camera. Not seeing, I'm maybe seeing a bit of the wind. Hard to see on this one, but it would be right around Wilton. It looks like it's kind of loosening up a bit, but it is going to, it could still be, producing a tornado. It's hard to say based on what was happening earlier, but I can at least see it on my data here. Can you go to the correlation coefficient product too, and we can see if we're getting anything there? I'll go a little bit higher. Still some rotation ongoing. That's hard to say if that would be.
I'm not sure if
no,
that is at all.
It's a little displaced there.
Yeah.
So at least we're not seeing evidence of a whole bunch of damage or anything happening, because that would be very close to the Wilton area, or getting very close to it now. In terms of, I'll see if I can see on my correlation coefficient. I mean, there's some of that showing up, but it is hard to say. So we're going to act like there's a tornado on the ground and crossing I-80 very shortly, if not already doing so, heavy rain, some hail heading toward the New Liberty area and going to continue to the north and east and into portions of Scott County. So this is coming out of Muscatine County. Many reports there of the tornado, and we do have still that potential that is shifting to the north and into the New Liberty area. We'll see how long this does hold on, but still tagged as observed and with the potential for some ping pong size hail and some heavy rain. So definitely something we need to watch, and we will regardless still have that wind threat with it. It seems to be losing a bit of its structure from what I can see, but we'll see what the National Weather Service, do they have any more updates there, but it does not
I think
look like it.
Yeah, you're probably right. It is losing a little bit of that structure. We're normally looking for that hook always that we kind of maybe saw a little bit earlier here with that reflectivity, where you've got, inflow going into this storm that is helping kind of fuel it. And overall, as things quickly update, you can see the storm is pretty much now past where Interstate 380 is right there, and now they've dropped the confirmed tag on this. So this is just a tornado warning now at this point, not confirmed, which is kind of what we were expecting. We didn't quite see maybe the sort of things that you need to notice in order to have potentially that tornado, that kind of hook, and certainly not seeing it at least at this point. But obviously, if you're in the Bennett area there in Cedar County, Tipton, this is off to your east, so no concerns there, as well as Rochester, but this is just passing over Interstate 80 now, Highway 130 there through New Liberty, Bennett, and then obviously up to Tipton will be a part of this as well, and we'll see whether or not the National Weather Service continues to kind of hold on to this tornado warning, given sort of how we've seen this sort of not look quite as tornado prevalent, but obviously you'll be dealing with some strong winds as well as hail around 1.25 inches in diameter.
They did only put it out till 8 p.m., so this would be the next 11 minutes. And I believe the surrounding warning does have that 70-mile-per-hour tag on it. Let's go to the north before I move on to something else, but we do have some, they still have a 80-mile-per-hour wind tag on this one. No, was that the southern one? Maybe it was
this is over here. That's portions of Dubuque and then into Jackson.
So that's where moving out. Looks like a lot of it's moved to the east of the river. And then we have 70-mile-per-hour winds still through portions of Delaware and into Dubuque counties. And that's really gotten out of at least Jones County there. And then I don't know if there's anything else to the north, but there's just the flash flood warning, and then we have some of these storms off to the west, and this is going to continue to kind of wind down. So I will say, if you want to pop on that scan-do scene, and we can kind of look at some of this damage that's been coming in out of Butler County. And so this is from the Butler County Emergency Management Office of some of the tree damage. And this is a tree, unfortunately, into a home, and them trying to cut it down, but some pretty extensive damage there. And, it's possible, as we were talking about, this is an area that picked up like 5 or 6 inches of rain just this morning, and that could have been some of the weakening of these trees. But I mean, a very large tree that was brought down, and this is an area too where some 70-mile-per-hour winds were ongoing as well. So at least trying to get that cleaned up there. But I'm going to see if I can exactly find what that is. But we have a lot of reports out of there of some tree damage in Butler County as well. And then, the Weather Service was saying tornado warning storm has moved into southeast Cedar County, with an area of rotation moving northeast of Sunbury, Iowa, which we were just talking about. Weak rotation continuing with the tornado warning for now. So we can go back to the radar there, and we can look at that storm. But they are continuing with it. They took away the tag, and then there's
a new warning right here for. And that is destructive. That's that new warning. Oh, wait, nope, I'm clicked on the wrong one. Well, there is this new warning here that just got expanded through Dubuque County.
Dubuque.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that will be I'll check and see what that is warned for. I'm guessing probably around 70 miles per hour. And yes, it'll be 70-mile-per-hour wind gust here. So Dubuque, you already had some destructive storms move through not too long ago. You can see that new warning that has been issued there that will be covering through Dubuque, obviously the Dubuque airport as well. So as those storms start to move their way on in, kind of highlighted those a little bit for you there for that new warning. Obviously, heavy rain has been moving through the Dyersville area, Holy Cross, and points there in Delaware County as we're pushing a little bit further into Dubuque County now, where Dyersville and Holy Cross are at. Obviously, we're expecting those winds to likely be around 70 miles per hour as they start to move their way finally to the Mississippi River, and then points to the east into Wisconsin as well as Illinois.
Yeah, I think that 80-mile-per-hour one is really off to the east now, thankfully. So that's not something we're still dealing with, but we do still have that 70-mile-per-hour wind. We do have still some reports coming out of central Iowa, obviously, and some more information that's going to be coming out. They're going to be having a press conference in Greenfield about the damage there, and we'll get some updates. That's going to happen at 8:30. I would imagine that we will probably be concluding our coverage as this is starting to kind of wind down some and move off to the east. A lot of our warnings expiring at 8:15 and no longer really posing that higher end threat of the severe thunderstorm warnings. But we will, of course, have some more information on that coming up on Iowa's News Now at 9 p.m. on Fox, and of course on 2 at 10 o'clock with the news there. But there's just continuing to be these storms moving off to the east. This one warning that is down, that is about to, I think, get out of Cedar County.
Pretty much out of Cedar County at this point.
Not a lot of indication of rotation that has been down at the surface. I did see a picture that someone sent along in the National Weather Service chat that did show some of the lowering with that storm, but not necessarily indication. I mean, that looks like a wall cloud, but yeah, I'm not sure that there was necessarily indication of a tornado that happened there. But we have 5 more minutes. We do have right now, though, just some of these storms off to the east. If we pop up the storm been happening off to the west across the area, and we had these reports of multiple tornadoes with these storms. And then as it trekked to the east, it was kind of down to the south, went up to the north toward the Des Moines area. That continued to the east into more of the wind threat that was ongoing. We had one report at least of not a funnel cloud, a wall cloud, but we had a couple of tornado warnings, nothing that ended up being tornadic that really was confirmed in our area, but multiple reports of the wind damage. I mean, look at all those wind damage reports that have been coming in, and this unfortunately does include some damage. We know of a lot of power outages as well, and some heavy rain that also fell as we went through this morning, especially. It looks like another warning got issued for Cedar and Jones counties, and this is still for 70-mile-per-hour winds, and it looks like just kind of that the rest of that tornado warned storm currently, but just clipping kind of the southeastern side for 70-mile-per-hour winds and moving at 50 miles per hour. Yeah,
it's not the warning that is being triggered there with the destructive tag on it. That has pushed its way into Illinois. Just once again, there's about 3 or 4 different storms and warnings that are laid on top of each other, so it's kind of hard to get that to trigger. I'm not sure. Have they said anything about this tornado warning? I'm just assuming that it's.
I mean, they did say they were gonna let it. I mean, they were. I don't think they were reissuing anything. If that's what you're.
Yeah.
They were just saying they were going to continue it, but I would imagine it will be let go here shortly. They just said weak rotation and continuing with the tornado warning, but it's, I mean, getting even out of the box at this point.
But yeah, so obviously you'll have that storm. It's really even exiting Cedar County now. It's pretty much mostly into Clinton County, and then that'll just skim kind of the southeastern portions, very southeastern corner of Jones County before it moves up into Jackson County there near Maquoketa, between DeWitt and Maquoketa there along Highway 61. So you're talking 70-mile-per-hour winds once again, which has been pretty standard today. Certainly could see some hail with that. There might be a little bit of a hail core there where you're kind of seeing those pinks show up just south of Wheatland. But obviously, which this was originally had a confirmed tornado tag on it, we're not quite seeing that threat really across this particular area anymore. So likely going to see some of those strong winds pushing into portions of southeastern Jones County, eventually moving into Jackson County there along Highway 61. Areas like Dubuque obviously have that warning right there out for Dubuque County there. That includes the Dubuque area. Of course, this is until 8:30, so you've got these storms continuing to push their way across most of northern Dubuque County there, kind of along Highway 52 in the county. So obviously 70-mile-per-hour winds. Want to try and stay away from some of those windows on those west sides. Obviously, if you're traveling, know somebody traveling, might be a little bit difficult. We've seen some cars a little bit earlier today needing to pull off to the side of the road, which is a little bit more of a smart move than trying to drive through it. Pull off, you kind of wait things out a little bit there with the hail falling, the blinding rain, and it's also starting to get at least a little bit darker out there. It's nice that the sun doesn't set right away and we're not in total darkness, but it could be a little bit more difficult to see. In terms of anything else, storms are non-severe or completely out of the area there. Up in northeastern Iowa now, we still have that flash flood warning. That does include Winneshiek County here. For portions of Winneshiek County, Decorah, Kalmar, that covers areas right along Highway 52 up there. So obviously be mindful of those roadways, especially out on the country roads with a lot of heavy rain. That could potentially be some issue, especially on those country roads. They could be pretty beat up after heavy rain this morning.
Yeah, those gravel roads.
Yeah, especially those gravel roads. And
I haven't seen any confirmation with the flash flooding just yet. There's a lot of reports we're having to sift through, but I haven't seen anything out of there necessarily. But we did have some of those flash flood warnings earlier this morning that did lead to quite a bit of flooding in portions of Butler and into parts of Grundy and Black Hawk County this morning. So we've certainly seen it. I'll say, just to kind of go through some of these, we have trees and power lines down, tree on a house in West Union and Fayette, and we were hearing reports of 70-mile-per-hour winds there, close to 80-mile-per-hour winds in some spots. We did have some 80-mile-per-hour wind reports in Cedar County earlier. Trees were going down around Fayette, the city of Fayette, and I'm trying to look and see if any of those, if anything came out of that flash flooding that caused them to kind of put that out there, but I haven't seen anything. There, and then I
have some report of actual thunderstorm wind damage at the Dubuque Regional Airport, actually. So
wow,
that might be part of that strong line of storms where it was a destructive tag on them for 80 miles per hour.
75 miles per hour. And this would have been at 6:39. So yeah, that would have been earlier. Oh gosh, it's 8 p.m. It's past my bedtime. Sorry. So tree blown over at the Dubuque airport, and yeah, we had that 80-mile-per-hour warning on it earlier, and I think we had also an 80-mile-per-hour wind report there too. Oxford Junction in Jones County, a cattle shed that was blown over. Bernard in Dubuque, semi blown over with a driver trapped inside. I think I mentioned that one. Farm buildings down. Monmouth in Jones County, large cattle shed just rebuilt, roof blown off and damage to the sides. There's been, let's see, yeah, lots of these reports of just some of this building damage, some tree damage, and this was kind of anticipated today that we were going to have some of this happen here, unfortunately. And Central Iowa may be hard to sift through with some of our areas with how much they have going on there. So law enforcement reports trees down in the road and power out in Wheatland at 7:14. So that would have been earlier, so not related to anything recently, but about an hour ago. Firefighters report major buildings Major damage to buildings in Lost Nation at 7:17. No power. First responders at Calamus and Grand Mound without power as well. So that was earlier. That is just kind of like off to our south and east. And then, yeah, just a lot of the wind damage reports that have been coming out with these storms. So we do have now that tornado warning gone, correct?
That is gone. Nope.
And we do have the storm that is highlighted in the south toward Maquoketa. That is kind of getting right out of our core area. And then we have that storm near Manchester to the north. Dubuque has a warning on it, but that storm's moved out. Just a testament of how fast these are moving. And then no 80 mile per hour. And that's what happens when you have 72 warnings once. But we do still have a considerable tag, the 70 mile per hour winds. I think Garrett said that he could see the storm from the Road Warrior. If we want to pop the Road Warrior up, we can see, yeah, there's the anvils. So we're actually seeing that thunderstorm in the distance, and the sun's out. It's like Mother Nature acting like nothing's going on now, but he is on Albernet Road, and I think he's at Highway 13 in Lynn County, and you can see those storms off to the east there. And you can see the storms that have kind of bubbled up, but we don't have these really tall, big thunderstorms. We'd see these big, towering, billowing storms that would produce these large updrafts and lead to large hail. We're not necessarily seeing that, but we do have still the storms out there that can produce some strong winds in mid-levels, leading to some of those 70 mile per hour winds certainly could be happening. But we do have, let's see, the considerable tag on this one. I'm curious if a lot of that strong wind starting to move out and maybe toward Holy Cross, Cassville, Balltown there, right on the river. Probably right where that spike would be some of the stronger winds.
Yeah, where those brighter colors are, that's probably, and that's most of kind of northern Dubuque County, at least at that point.
Yeah.
So, and then eventually it'll be kind of riding the river when it takes the bend near Cassville.
Yes. So we do have, the severe threat really winding down at this point, and we're just kind of waiting on that tornado warning to get out of here. And I wanted to assess and see that those stronger winds were off to the east there. So we do still have severe thunderstorm warning. A lot of that strong wind starting to exit to the east of the Mississippi, getting out of the core part of our area. A few little storms off to the west will likely start to fall apart. We do, of course, have damage that has been reported in the area and power outages, as well as damage that has occurred in western and central Iowa that will continue to follow. So we're going to return to regular scheduled programming. We will be back, of course, not me, I'll be asleep. Cayson will be on tonight with Mitch Fick, and he will have the latest on the forecast for the rest of the week. And we'll, of course, recap everything that's happened today, coming up at 9 on Fox 28. And in the meantime, everyone stay safe and have a good rest of your night.
Get Weather Warn alerts on all your devices. Stay ahead of the storm with Iowa's News Now, WeatherFirst.